Chapter 22. 3 portions of patulous sprouts, 1 portion of deep-sea ebony, and 1 portion of platinum beast blood essence. A woman wearing a moonlight robe was shaking the crystal container in her hand as she gave a pleasant command. 4 emerald green birds with feathers that looked like vines and leaves quickly and accurately used their beaks to pick up the materials in the crystal containers. A man and a woman stood not far from the woman in the moonlight robe. The man had a dignified expression, while the woman had a heroic aura. At this moment, the two of them were using spirit chi to hide their presence, afraid that they would disturb the woman who was testing the medicine. The spirit chi emitted from their bodies faintly carried a mysterious vortex of runes. It showed that the two of them were king-level powerhouses who had comprehended wills from mountains, rivers, oceans, and even the sky. However, the 2 king-level powerhouses were looking at the woman testing the medicine with very respectful gazes. The woman in the moonlight robe used her spirit energy to shake the potion, and the smell of the potion flowed out from the opening of the bottle. The fresh fragrance of the grass was like the smell of freshly cut grass after the rain, refreshing the mind. When the 3 portions of patulous sprouts were added to the medicine, the aroma emitted was like a towering tree instantly growing out of the cut grass. Towering trees grew, forming a primeval forest. As the woman in the moonlight robe poured in the dark red platinum beast blood, the smell suddenly burst forth with a terrifying pressure. It was as if some kind of fierce beast was hibernating in the depths of this primitive forest, staring at its prey and waiting to pounce. The 2 king-level powerhouses' heads were covered in sweat, and they were a little nervous from the aura of this group of beasts. The woman in the moonlight robe continuously poured her spirit chi into the crystal bottle. The spirit chi stirred the originally emerald green medicine and the dark red platinum beast blood into a crystal clear amber color. After stirring for a full 7 minutes, the woman stopped. He picked up the deep-sea ebony and gently sniffed it as if he was trying to identify the year of the deep-sea ebony. Then he directly used his spirit power to grind the deep-sea ebony into fine powder and poured it into the amber liquid. As soon as the deep-sea ebony entered the amber liquid turned dark green. In the primitive jungle that was originally surrounded by beasts, there seemed to be a Kannakin rainstorm that could be called a miracle in the history of the evolution of life that lasted for 2 million years. In an instant, the primeval forest was irrigated into a deep sea. The beasts that had been accumulating power and waiting for action became swollen floating corpses in the deep sea. As for the 2 king-class elites, they felt as if layers of seaweed had wrapped around their arms and legs, then around their necks. It was as if they were sealed in this dark green sea forever. At this time, the woman in the moonlight robe began to use her spirit chi to stir the medicinal liquid that had been infused with the deep-sea ebony. As the woman moved, every stir was like a cycle of reincarnation. Those dead sea beasts in the deep sea seemed to have suddenly come back to life, and those entangling aquatic plants also loosened their claws and teeth, turning into flowers that grew among the reefs. Light and darkness, new life and decay, alternated again and again as the woman shook her wrist. Finally, this dark green medicinal liquid was stirred by the spirit chi into a sparkling object with an emerald green luster. The moment it transformed into a sparkling object, the suffocating deep sea, aquatic plants and beasts all disappeared. There was only the tactful and tranquil feeling of the setting sun and the lone wolf fly together. The autumn water is the same color as the sky. At this time, the 2 king-class elites took a deep breath and withdrew their protective spirit chi. The dignified man hurriedly stepped forward and said, "Moon Empress, it has been hard on you. May I know if the concoction of this medicine is complete?" The woman in the moonlight robe raised her head, and her aura was as clear as the moonlight. "Summon your Fei Sikong." When the stern-looking middle-aged man heard this, he quickly summoned his Fei, which was a giant tiger-shaped spirit beast. The woman in the moonlight robe shook her wrist again, and the emerald green liquid in her hand turned into a wisp of fragrance that entered the giant tiger-shaped spirit beast's body through the wings of its nose. Immediately after, this giant tiger-shaped spirit beast's body crackled as if it had experienced a new life. The woman in the moonlight robe nodded and said, "It has already evolved to a legendary level. It has already evolved from the epic to the legendary. You just need to fuse the comprehended willpower rune with the Fey to evolve into a fantasy breed." Sikong was overjoyed and quickly bowed. "Moon Empress, if you need anything from me, please feel free to ask." I will not hesitate to go through water and tread on fire. The woman in the moonlight robe waved her hand and said, You don't have to go through water and tread on fire. You have already found a pair of dragon eyes for this empress. That is your reward. When the stern-looking middle-aged man heard the Moon Empress words, he quickly cupped his fists and said again, Xikong is willing to serve the Moon Empress. At this time the giant tiger-shaped fae had completed its evolution and quietly awakened. When it sensed its changes, it was in high spirits and was about to roar, but all its voices were suddenly stuck in its throat as it lay on the ground dejectedly. On the table, a small rabbit was pulling out a finger-sized carrot from a jade flower pot. It even brought out some red crystal-like sand. The little rabbit looked at the sand it brought out with disdain. With a kick of its leg, it kicked the sand to the ground and leisurely nibbled on the radish. As for the green vine bird that was preparing the materials, it habitually picked up the scattered red crystal soil and placed them back into the jade flower pot. The giant star tiger-shaped phase transformation was because the small rabbit casually glanced at the giant tiger-shaped spirit beast when it was pulling out the carrot. The woman in the moonlight robe carried the small rabbit from the table and said to Xikong, The Creation Master Assessment has always only allowed one to advance one rank at a time. After each advancement, one needs to wait 3 years before they can participate in the advancement assessment again. How are we going to select the truly talented Creation Masters? Xikong, go and inform the Creation Master Association that anyone who passes the Class 1 Creation Master Assessment within 2 hours can choose to skip the advancement assessment for the 3 life occupations and directly take the Class 2 Creation Master Assessment. Xikong carefully memorized the Moon Empress instructions and asked, Moon Empress, can we choose to advance the Class 2 to Class 3 Creation Master Assessment after completing the Class 2 assessment? Only Class 1 to Class 2 is fine. After the woman in the moonlight robe finished speaking, she picked up the crystal bottle and prepared to concoct the medicinal liquid. She was sending off the guest. Xikong put away his newly promoted legendary fae and bowed. He then hurriedly went to complete the mission that the Moon Empress had assigned him. At this moment the heroic-looking female king-class expert who had been silent all this while spoke. Moon Empress, are you thinking that there aren't any talented youths among the Creation Masters in the Federation so you are choosing to reform? The Moon Empress shook her head and spoke. This is just this Empress' personal matter. Bamboo Monarch and Chef Supreme have accepted disciples. This Empress cannot fall behind those 2 old things. The heroic-looking woman was shocked. The Moon Empress actually had plans to accept disciples? This was truly a huge piece of news. As one of the Radiance Federation's 3 Class 5 Creation Masters, becoming the Moon Empress disciple was simply like ascending to the heavens in a single bound. However, she didn't know which city the Moon Empress disciple was from. If she was from the Redbud City, then as the City Lord of the Redbud City, she should be able to receive plenty of rewards from the Moon Empress. Ling Xiao, do you know that a Class 1 dimensional rift has just opened in the Xia region under your Redbud City? The heroic-looking woman quickly spoke. Ling Xiao has already heard about the situation from the Redbud guards. I wonder what instructions does the Moon Empress have? The heroic-looking woman was a little puzzled. Why would an important figure like the Moon Empress mention a mere Class 1 dimensional rift? This Empress heard that the dimensional rifts aren't very stable recently. And it should be because the dimensional tide is coming. The alien insect dimensional rift has always been the most dangerous dimensional rift during every dimensional tide, and your Redbud City is the city with the most alien insect dimensional rifts. Send more people to guard the entrance of every alien insect dimensional rift to prevent the dimensional rift from threatening the safety of the nearby residents during the dimensional tide. When Ling Xiao heard the Moon Empress, she quickly replied, Moon Empress, don't worry. Ling Xiao is the Redbud City Lord. As long as Ling Xiao is around, Ling Xiao will always be the backbone of the Redbud City. The Moon Empress nodded and looked at Ling Xiao. Xikong, this matter will still take some time to be implemented. Why don't you return to the Redbud City first and let the Redbud City's Creation Master Association implement the new rules for the Creation Master Assessment first? Ling Xiao understands. After replying, Ling Xiao was rather shocked. The Moon Empress had emphasized the issue of the Creation Master Assessment twice. It seemed like the Moon Empress really had the intention to accept disciples. Chapter 23. The black-winged wind falcon wasn't considered fast among the bronze flying fays. However, its back was very flat and the feathers on its back were very thick. Therefore, the black-winged wind falcon became one of the more popular bronze flying fays. The travel fee for this trip was equivalent to half a month of Lin Yuan's previous store's income. It was at least 2,000 Federation dollars, and if Lin Yuan wasn't in a rush, he would really be reluctant. Young man, if you are used to the feeling of flying in the sky, I will let the black-winged wind falcon ascend a little higher. When we reach the clouds, the airflow will be relatively gentle and the speed will be slightly faster. The black-winged wind falcon's pilot knew that this was Lin Yuan's first time riding on a flying fei, so he was very considerate and didn't let the black-winged wind falcon ascend directly into the sky. The air at high altitudes was thin, and people who had never ridden on flying feis before might experience dizziness due to the lack of oxygen for a short period of time. Lin Yuan nodded and said, "Come on. I am ready." While speaking, Lin Yuan's complexion was a little pale. He looked at the ground that was dozens of meters away and the indistinct figures on the streets. Lin Yuan felt a little acrophobic. It was fortunate that his acrophobia wasn't intense and he could still endure it. Under the pilot's instructions, the black-winged wind falcon flapped its wings and scuttled towards the clouds. While ascending, the black-winged wind falcon raised the feathers on its back and helped Lin Yuan, who was on the black-winged wind falcon's back, to block the incoming airflow. Soon enough, the black-winged wind falcon had already ascended to the clouds and was flying steadily. The air in the clouds was indeed thin, but it wasn't as hot. When Lin Yuan inhaled the chilly wind into his lungs, there was a burning sense of urgency in his lungs due to the lack of oxygen. Lin Yuan circulated his spirit qi, and this sense of urgency quickly vanished. Lin Yuan looked around and noticed that there were bundles of lonely clouds not far away, and it felt as though they were within reach. When he reached out his hand, he didn't know if his hand was grabbing onto the clouds, or if he was already in the clouds and didn't realize it. Looking down, Lin Yuan's spirit jolted. When he sat on the clouds, the acrophobia was gone, and it was replaced by an extremely vast expanse. The river was like a jade belt, and the mountains were luxuriant and majestic. The mountains were crisscrossed like the spine of the earth, and the crisscrossed mountains were evergreen. Lin Yuan saw a barren mountain in the distance, and it was the destruction caused by the battle between the two gold feis a few months ago. The fire from the gold fire-type fei had burned all the vegetation on the mountain. The barren mountain that should have been scorched by the raging fire had been dyed with a thin layer of green after several months of rain. At that moment, Lin Yuan suddenly felt a ball of enlightenment rise in his heart. Under the green mountain was the earth. The earth blessed the green mountain, and the green mountain repaid the earth with lush greenery. The green mountains were the embodiment of the vitality of the earth. Even the raging fire could not burn away the vitality of the green mountains. Lin Yuan looked down at Green Mountain and felt that it was exceptionally clear in his eyes. It was as though Green Mountain's willpower was like the bitter cold air in the sky, which Lin Yuan could easily inhale into his lungs. Fei and Lin. Lin's spiritual energy and mountain. At Lin and dragon-winged wind in. When Lin Yuan's weak spiritual energy fused into the mountain, it turned into a green rune. The rune was filled with the veins and vitality of the mountain. The rune danced around Lin Yuan's spiritual energy as though it was nourishing it. Lin Yuan felt his mind was clear. When he looked at the mountain range, it was a different scene. He had a thorough understanding of the mountains and rivers, and he was so shocked that he almost bit off his tongue. I have comprehended the willpower of the mountain. Furthermore, the willpower of the mountain has been condensed into a rune. If some experts were to know of Lin Yuan's current situation, they would be so angry that they would jump up. In order for a fantasy breed to be born, the bronze fei had to reach legend. It would then have to comprehend a willpower rune and fuse it with the legend fei. It would allow the fei to comprehend the spiritual willpower and transform into a fantasy breed. Legend feis were rare, but if a creation master could help it and nurture it meticulously, it would be possible. However, the willpower rune that came from the mountains, rivers, oceans, and sky could only be visualized and comprehended by spirit qi professionals. It was unknown how many spirit qi professionals were stuck with the willpower rune, causing them to have legend feis but not be able to evolve them into fantasy breeds. It was Lin Yuan's first time sitting on a flying fei and looking down at the mountains and rivers. He had actually comprehended a willpower rune from the mountains and rivers, and he couldn't help but sigh. When a person was unlucky, not only would the kettle break when pouring water, but when pouring water it would also break and hit their feet. When a person was lucky, they would casually open a bottle of drink and win the lottery. Ever since Lin Yuan could sense the spirit qi of the world, he seemed to have been constantly lucky. It was only a matter of time before his fate evolved to legend. Now that he had comprehended a willpower rune, he would be able to have a fantasy breed fae. However, the willpower rune's usage had to complement the fae. Otherwise, it would be like comprehending a willpower rune from the earth and using it on an aquatic fae. Although the aquatic fae would also evolve into a fantasy breed, it would not be able to do so. Although the aquatic fae would also evolve into a fantasy breed, its second exclusive skill would produce characteristics related to the earth due to the willpower rune. This wouldn't have any effect on the fae. Not only would it be a waste of a willpower rune, but it would also be a waste of the legend fae's talent. Therefore, Lin Yuan had to carefully consider the willpower rune that he had comprehended from the mountains and rivers and the first fae that he wanted to use Morbius spirit lock on. Time passed quickly, and when Lin Yuan returned to his senses from his spiritual world, the black-winged wind falcon was already preparing to land in a brightly lit city. The city that he was landing in was Redbud City's main city. The black-winged wind falcon landed at the entrance of the Redbud Spirit Qi Intermediate Academy. Lin Yuan held the Fey storage box that contained the sharp iron horn bull and alighted from the black-winged wind falcon before calling Zhou Xian. Lin Yuan had a special temperament like the grass after the rain, which was exceptionally fresh. Moreover, after Lin Yuan's body had recovered, his originally good facial features weren't as pale as before. Instead, they were filled with vitality and rosy. This made the female students who had just returned from shopping and eating at the entrance of the Redbud Spirit Qi Intermediate Academy cast frequent glances at Lin Yuan. At that moment, Lin Yuan's call was connected. When Lin Yuan picked up the call, he recalled that Zhou Xian had contracted the gray beetle without informing him, and he couldn't help but feel a little angry. However, when he heard Zhou Xi's apprehensive voice and immediately admit her mistake, Lin Yuan's anger immediately dissipated. His lips curled into a rejoicing, helpless and doting smile. "Where are you now?" "I am at the entrance of your school." Lin Yuan was halfway through his sentence when he heard a familiar voice coming from the other end of the call. It was the irascible teacher Bao's voice. Chapter 24. When Lin Yuan heard teacher Bao's voice coming from the phone, he was a little puzzled at first. Then he reacted and immediately felt grateful. Teacher Bao might not have a good temper, but he was a good teacher who could do anything for his students. Teacher Bao knew that Zhou Xian was calling Lin Yuan, so he immediately snatched Zhou Xi's phone and said loudly, "I told you about the situation yesterday morning. I told you about the situation yesterday morning. Why are you only here now as a parent? You really don't care about Zhou Xi's studies." As Teacher Bao spoke, he suddenly thought of something and his words were stuck in his throat. Teacher Bao thought of the information he had seen when understanding Zhou Xi's family situation. What could he blame a boy who did his best to provide for his sister's school? Could he blame him for being incapable and not being able to find a good fae for his sister? When Lin Yuan heard the irritable Teacher Bao's voice, he hurriedly said, "Teacher Bao, sorry for troubling you. Teacher Bao, sorry for troubling you. I have prepared a fae for Zhou Xian, and it is at the school entrance. However, I am not a student and cannot enter the school. I wonder if you can let Zhou Xian pick me up at the school entrance?" Teacher Bao said, "Wait at the school entrance for a while. Wait for a while at the school gate. I'll bring Zhou Xian to pick you up. Help me persuade Zhou Xian when the time comes." Before Zhou Xian could take the phone, Teacher Bao hung up. He was really a swift and decisive teacher. However, Lin Yuan felt a little strange. Why did Teacher Bao's attitude toward him suddenly improve? Lin Yuan did not know that Teacher Bao's change in attitude toward him was due to understanding Zhou Xi's family situation. If Lin Yuan knew, he would probably just smile. When other children were still enjoying their innocent childhood in the arms of their parents, he had no choice but to take his sister to be independent early. He had suffered from the cold, starvation and serious illnesses, but he had tenaciously grown up until now. He had never been opportunistic or accepted charity. He might be poor, but he had always had self-respect and self-improvement. Lin Yuan had never felt inferior about his own situation. He did not think that Zhou Xian needed to feel inferior either. As long as she stood upright, walked straight and did not let herself down, she would always walk the path of vicissitudes. Lin Yuan had been waiting at the door. When the female students beside him saw that Lin Yuan had no intention of leaving for a while, they dared to approach him. Those who were more daring would approach Lin Yuan and ask for his star web account, making Lin Yuan a little tired of dealing with them. Fortunately, after he rejected a few people, although some people still looked at him from time to time, no one came forward to ask for his star web account. This undoubtedly made Lin Yuan heave a sigh of relief. Shortly after, a beautiful figure rushed out of the Redbud Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy's entrance. The beautiful figure originally wanted to throw herself into Lin Yuan's arms, but when she got closer she seemed to recall something. She timidly stood in front of Lin Yuan and spoke pitifully. "Brother, I was wrong. I shouldn't have contracted the gray beetles." Lin Yuan could not help but complain in his heart. If this girl didn't make a mistake, how could she call him brother? He would usually address Lin Yuan as Lin Yuan. "Do you think that's all I'm angry about? This decision concerns your future. Not only did you not discuss the choice of your first Fae with me, but you didn't even prepare to tell me about the contract." Lin Yuan had been very stern when he spoke, but as he spoke he saw that Chu Xi's eyes were slightly red, so his tone softened. At that moment Teacher Bao's voice came from behind Chu Xi. "Chu Xi, why are you running so fast? Why didn't you wait for me? I'm not a combat-type professional." Teacher Bao was a spiritual ingredient analyst and a teacher who taught spiritual ingredient theory. He was still panting after catching up to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan quickly took a step forward to greet Teacher Bao. Teacher Bao only took a glance at Lin Yuan and could not help but feel a little regretful. His tone during the phone call had been too harsh. Looking at Lin Yuan's clean and tidy clothes that were a little faded from washing, Teacher Bao knew how thrifty this youth was. "Chu Xi's brother, right? Hello. Chu Xi is the most talented student I have seen in all my years as a teacher in charge. She is also very hardworking and serious in her studies. Therefore you must not be careless in your choice of Faes. It is best for your first contracted Fae to be an elite Fae. If it is a normal Fae, the time needed for it to grow into an elite Fae will be a waste of Chu Xi's potential." When Teacher Bao saw Lin Yuan, he could not say anything harsh. He explained Chu Xi's situation in detail and emphasized the importance of the first Fae. He thought about the Fae that Lin Yuan had brought for Chu Xi. If it was only a normal Fae, then he could naturally let Chu Xi contract the yellow-spotted hound that he had prepared for Chu Xi. Although the yellow-spotted hound was not considered outstanding among the elite defense-type Faes, at least it would not be a waste of Chu Xi's talent. Lin Yuan rarely came to Chu Xi's school, and this was the first time he had heard a teacher praise Chu Xi in front of him. Lin Yuan could not help but feel a sense of pride. At that moment, Chu Xi secretly tugged at the corner of Lin Yuan's clothes and winked at him. Chu Xi knew her family's situation. Perhaps the spirit beast that Lin Yuan had brought was only normal, but she did not want to accept the elite Fae that Teacher Bao had prepared for her. Given Lin Yuan's temper, she knew that if she really took Teacher Bao's yellow-spotted hound, he would definitely save up the money for it in the shortest time possible and return it to Teacher Bao. Chu Xi had contracted the gray beetles without informing Lin Yuan beforehand because she did not want him to suffer too much. Naturally, it was the same now. Lin Yuan lifted the Fae storage box on the ground and said to Teacher Bao, "Teacher Bao, thank you for your help to Chu Xi. I brought a pretty good Fae for Chu Xi. I wonder if there is a suitable place for Chu Xi to sign a contract with this Fae." As soon as Teacher Bao heard Lin Yuan's words, he wanted to ask what grade the Fae was. However, after recalling that they were at the school's entrance, he answered Lin Yuan, "Tonight is the deadline for students to submit their first contracted Fae. Let's go to my office. After Chu Xi contracts the Fae, I'll report it." Lin Yuan looked at Chu Xi and placed the Fae storage box in her hand. "The Fae that you will be forming a contract with is inside. Take the Fae storage box and get close to it first." A massive Fae storage box was placed lightly in Chu Xi's hand. The Fae storage box might not have any weight, but when she held it in her hands she felt that it was heavy as though it weighed a ton. Chapter 25. The more Teacher Bao looked at the Fae storage box, the more he felt that something was wrong. Suddenly his eyes narrowed. Teacher Bao looked at the symbol on the side of the Fae storage box and recognized that it was a bronze Fae storage box. Teacher Bao had originally wanted to mention the yellow-spotted hound, but he quickly stopped himself. Although he did not know if this bronze fey storage box contained a bronze fey, it was definitely stronger than his yellow-spotted hound. The price of a single bronze fey storage box from Ostrich Logistics was enough to buy 3 yellow-spotted hounds. When he walked into the campus and saw the lively young smiling faces around him, he suddenly felt much more relaxed. At the same time, he was very glad that he had chosen to send her to school instead of letting her run the fey store with him at home. When he arrived at Teacher Bao's office, he saw a cage with a rather healthy yellow-spotted hound in it. It must be the fey that Teacher Bao had prepared for Zhou Xian. For a moment Lin Yuan did not know how to thank Teacher Bao. Although the money in his Star Web account could buy dozens of such yellow-spotted dogs, sometimes, good intentions could not be measured with money at all, especially the kind that did not ask for anything in return. Teacher Bao sat on the chair in front of the office table and said to Lin Yuan, "Master Lin, I'll be fine. I didn't expect you to prepare such a good fey when I told you to prepare a better fey." Teacher Bao looked at Lin Yuan and lamented. If this bronze fey storage box really contained a bronze fey, even if it was just an ordinary bronze defense-type fey, he wouldn't be able to obtain it. How did this teenager get his hands on such a good thing? Previously, Teacher Bao could not bear to waste Zhou Xi's talent, but now he felt sorry for Lin Yuan. Zhou Xi was a little puzzled. She had been holding the fey storage box, but she didn't even know what fey was inside. How did Teacher Bao know? Lin Yuan replied when he saw Zhou Xi casting him a puzzled look. "Zhou Xi, summon your first fey. Then sign the contract." Upon hearing that, Zhou Xi put away the doubts in her heart. She pressed her hand on the fey storage box's switch and injected spirit qi. Once the fey storage box opened, a majestic iron bull with an ink-colored body appeared in its place. The horns on its head were abnormally sharp. Zhou Xi could not help but cry out in surprise. Teacher Bao sighed as he dropped the pen that he had picked up. It's actually a bronze sharp iron horn bull. And from the looks of it, this sharp iron horn bull's prehistoric atavism was very thorough. The horns on the front were actually so long. Such a quality of the sharp iron horn bull is considered outstanding among bronze defense-type feys. Take a look at this sharp iron horn bull's horn. It is a great material to promote feys quality. Just this horn alone is worth 700,000 Federation dollars. As soon as Teacher Bao finished his sentence, he heard the sharp iron horn bull mooing. Its hind hooves could not help but pound the ground. Lin Yuan was also looking at Teacher Bao with an incredulous expression. A bronze fey's spirituality was enough to sense the thoughts of the humans beside it. When Teacher Bao saw the sharp iron horn bull, his first reaction was actually to ask how much the sharp iron horn bull's horn could be sold for. This was truly infuriating. Teacher Bao picked up the pen on the ground and chuckled. It's an old habit again. This is the occupational disease of spiritual ingredient analysts, haha. Zhou Xi looked at the sharp iron horn bull in a daze, and tears flowed down from her eyes. Upon seeing the situation, Lin Yuan quickly went forward and wiped off Zhou Xi's tears. What are you crying for? Lin Yuan was a rather reserved person and did not know how to express his emotions or comfort others. Zhou Xi looked at Lin Yuan and said, Lin Yuan, did you sell your family's store? Although Zhou Xi did not know the sharp iron horn bull's value, based on Teacher Bao's reaction and the sharp iron horn bull's appearance, Zhou Xi knew that it was definitely not cheap. At that moment, Teacher Bao had already left the office and helped Lin Yuan and Zhou Xi close the office door. Lin Yuan rubbed Zhou Xi's head and said, "Hurry up and sign the contract. Teacher Bao still has to report phase in a while. Don't delay Teacher Bao's work. If there's anything, let's go out for dinner tonight." Lin Yuan started to circulate the spirit qi in his body. Zhou Xi exclaimed in pleasant surprise. Lin Yuan, you can feel the world's spirit qi. Then your body. Lin Yuan's face hung a gentle smile. It's done. Zhou Xi's tears had just fallen quietly earlier, but now she could not help but cry and laugh at the same time. Upon seeing that Lin Yuan was a little flustered, Zhou Xi said, "Let me cry for a while. Let me cry. I'm crying tears of joy." Zhou Xi cried for a full 5 minutes. The tears that flowed out during these 5 minutes were the most salty, but Zhou Xi's heart was also the happiest. After Zhou Xi finished forming the contract with the sharp iron horn bull, she stored it in her spiritual spatial zone. When Teacher Bao saw that there was no more movement inside, he opened the door and walked in. He happened to see the scene of Zhou Xian forming the contract with the sharp iron horn bull. Zhou Xi's talent is top-notch and her starter Fei is already at bronze. Moreover, the sharp iron horn bull is the best among bronze Feis. Perhaps Zhou Xian will get a chance to participate in the Redbud Hundreds preliminaries at the end of this year. Teacher Bao spoke with a sigh. When Lin Yuan heard Teacher Bao mention the Redbud 100, he could not help but ask. Isn't the Redbud Hundreds preliminaries only open to Year 3 students? Zhou Xian is only in Year 1 now. Teacher Bao looked at Zhou Xian and spoke with infinite anticipation. The Redbud Hundreds preliminaries are actually to select 100 of Redbud City's younger generation to qualify to participate in the Radiance 100 selection. Among the 100 Redbud Hundreds qualifications, only 80 of them are obtained through actual combat, while the remaining 20 are seeded contestants. These 20 seeded contestants are determined by their talent. Zhou Xian has a chance to compete for this qualification. If she can do so, she will be able to obtain the educational resources that Redbud City allocates to the Redbud Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy. She will be able to grow better. However, she still needs to work hard on her own. Zhou Xian nodded firmly. She naturally had to fight for it as much as possible. Otherwise, she would be letting down Lin Yuan's efforts. What Lin Yuan cared about now was not the injection of resources. With him around, every time Zhou Xian returned home on vacation, her contracted phase would get a promotion. Moreover, Zhou Xian could also nurture her contracted phase in the future, so she did not need to rely on others for resources. Lin Yuan was interested in the academy's atmosphere and environment. In such an atmosphere, competing with peers was actually a kind of growth in itself. This kind of growth might be directly reflected in strength, but it was more of a spiritual growth. Lin Yuan wanted to take Zhou Xian out for a meal and apply for leave from Teacher Bao. Chapter 26. After leaving the Redbud Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy and walking on the street, Lin Yuan carefully explained his situation to Zhou Xian. My body is fine and so is the store. I'm going to participate in the Creation Master exam in a while. Lin Yuan briefly explained the situation and his plans. Lin Yuan did not want to hide the Creation Master exam from Zhou Xian. Every Creation Master was like a celebrity before the Spirit Chi awakening, and there were introductions on the star web. He could not hide it, so he might as well tell Zhou Xian and put her at ease. Zhou Xian looked at Lin Yuan and felt that he had changed a lot. Of course, these changes were external changes and Lin Yuan's heart had never changed. Although Lin Yuan said that everything had been fine recently, Zhou Xian knew that Lin Yuan had always reported only the good news and not the bad, so she was still a little worried. Lin Yuan, that sharp iron horn bull is very expensive, right? Lin Yuan chuckled and took out his star web card from his pocket. I have the talent of a creation master now and I earn some money. We are rich now. I'll transfer 100,000 Federation dollars to your star web card in a while. You can buy whatever resources you need to cultivate in school. The sharp iron horn bull usually needs to eat a lot of energy metals, so we can also buy stronger steel pieces. Lin Yuan was sincerely happy when he said this. It was not only because he had money now but also because he could finally give Zhou Xian a good cultivation environment. It was a really carefree feeling. Zhou Xian nodded obediently and did not reject Lin Yuan. When she was 6 and Lin Yuan was 8, Lin Yuan had always been raising her and supporting the store. They were each other's only family in this world. Zhou Xian always had a sense of dependence on Lin Yuan, and this feeling came from the blood kinship. At that moment, a strange cry came from the street. Cornbread. For 1 Federation dollar. Hehe. When Zhou Xian heard this strange cry, she laughed and said to Lin Yuan, I want to eat cornbread. Lin Yuan looked at the stall and said, Lin Yuan, I want to eat cornbread. Lin Yuan looked at the stall and said, Lin Yuan, I want to eat cornbread. Didn't you always want to eat hot pot? If you eat cornbread now, it will take up your stomach and you won't be able to eat hot pot. Zhou Xian glanced at the cornbread again and smiled sweetly. I want both cornbread and hot pot. Lin Yuan helplessly went to buy cornbread. Zhou Xian looked at Lin Yuan's back and felt as if she had suddenly returned to a few years ago. At that time he had been seriously ill and it was getting worse. Lin Yuan had gone to look for a healer and his illness had been cured. However, the price of the treatment was that the two of them had to eat cornbread for half a month. Back then, the cornbread was coarse and hard to swallow, and it didn't have much taste. But now everything was better. When she saw the cornbread again, she couldn't help but recall the story of that time. What are you thinking? Here's the cornbread. Don't eat too much or else you'll have to watch me eat when we're eating hot pot later. Zhou Xian was awakened from her memories by Lin Yuan's voice. She took the cornbread and stuck out her tongue. Brother, I know. Although the taste of the cornbread didn't change, Zhou Xian felt a hint of sweetness in it. She didn't know if the seller added some sugar to the cornbread, or if the cornbread had a unique taste that belonged to the heart. After eating hot pot, Lin Yuan sent Zhou Xian back to school. Parting was always reluctant, but life was still getting better and better. This time Lin Yuan didn't ride on an aerial fei. Instead he called for a thick-hoofed donkey carriage. It wasn't because Lin Yuan wanted to save money, but he wanted to see the mountains from the ground again. At the same time he wanted to make a plan for the future. Lin Yuan no longer planned to open his family's fei store. It wasn't that he didn't want to open it, but he planned to open it on the star web. If he wanted to sell feis, he just had to do it on the star web. After returning, he would arrange for Genius to memorize the books for scholar, fei researcher and spiritual ingredient analyst. It would also be better for him to participate in the Creation Master exam. Once the Creation Master exam was over, he would do a certification on the star web and he would be able to take on customized feis. Spirit Chi professionals still had to strengthen themselves as their basic direction. Lin Yuan was also a Spirit Chi professional now, so he planned to take on customized jobs after taking the Creation Master exam. Apart from evolving feis to increase the Spirit Chi in his body, he would only take on customized jobs. Normally he would have to increase the grade of his feis. Now that he had a willpower rune, he wondered if he could evolve a bronze feis quality to legend and nurture a bronze fantasy breed fei. The lower the grade of the fei, the greater the potential of the fei. There was a gentle breeze along the way, and it was the time for the stars to break. The red of the morning sun soaked through the mountains, and the thick-hoofed donkey carriage sent Lin Yuan back to the Xia region. Lin Yuan didn't go home immediately. Instead he went to the fei market and bought 150 pots of usnias that weren't even normal grade. He then asked the store owner to deliver them to his store. After purchasing the usnias, Lin Yuan dispelled his intention to purchase more feis from the fei market. Instead he planned to purchase all his feis from the star web. Due to the transportation, it might be slightly more expensive than the local wholesale market, but it was safer. Before he became a creation master, Lin Yuan didn't wish to expose his ability to evolve feis. Once all 150 pots of usnias were evolved to elite grade, Lin Yuan estimated that his Spirit Chi would be able to reach the standard of a D-rank Spirit Chi professional. At that time he would be a true Spirit Chi professional with a rank. Lin Yuan was already at the entrance of the store when he suddenly had an idea. His Morbius Spirit Lock was due to his affinity with healing type, support type and plant type feis. Therefore he could only use healing type, support type and plant type feis. He had already decided to form a contract with a healing type fei. Due to the Spirit Lock characteristic, he could only use the fei's basic ability, which was the most basic ability of a normal fei. It was awkward for healing type feis to have normal basic abilities, as most of them weren't healing abilities. Take the clear pond carp that Lin Yuan had encountered previously. It might be a healing type fei, but its basic ability relied on the flapping of its fins to deal physical damage. Such feis weren't suitable for Spirit Lock. Among the basic abilities of the healing type, the best one was the Jasmine Lily's heal ability. Lin Yuan decided that he might as well choose a Jasmine Lily as the first fei to use Morbius Spirit Lock. Lin Yuan simply returned to the fei market and specially picked a pot of normal and I Jasmine Lily. He was prepared to use Spirit Lock on this pot of Jasmine Lily when he returned home. When Lin Yuan returned to the store, Genius and Chimey pounced at him. Due to his body condition, Lin Yuan rarely went out and naturally didn't leave Genius and Chimey's side. Therefore, after Lin Yuan went out for a night and didn't return, Genius and Chimey had been sticking to Lin Yuan. Chapter 27. A short while after Lin Yuan returned to the store, the shopkeeper had already helped him carry a cart of usnias into the store. Lin Yuan's room was almost filled with the 150 pots of usnias. Lin Yuan immediately evolved a pot of usnia to normal and then to elite. He placed it on a high shelf and said to Chimey, "Chimey, in the future that pot of elite usnias will be your food. When you evolve to elite, I'll get you a pot of bronze usnias." Chimey happily flew to its usnia and happily sang. As for a delicacy like the elite usnia, Chimey had only had the opportunity to eat it during the past 2 days. Of course, what made Chimey the happiest was that Lin Yuan had specially given it this pot of elite usnias. He took another small bowl and placed some energy biscuits in it. These energy biscuits were specially prepared for omnivorous phase. They were filled with nutritious low-grade spiritual ingredients and weren't cheap. In the past, Lin Yuan naturally couldn't afford it, but it was different now. Therefore Lin Yuan had changed food for Genius. Genius lowered its head and sniffed the energy biscuit in its bowl. Its eyes lit up and it used its baby teeth to chomp on the energy biscuit. It ate very happily. After Lin Yuan helped Genius and Chimey prepare the food, he went upstairs to take a shower. Next he prepared to lock the spirit lock Jasmine Lily. This way he would truly become a combat class spirit chi professional and a rare healer. Healers were well respected among the combat class spirit chi occupations, and it wasn't just because they were rare. More importantly, although the healer was a combat class, the healer's main skill lay in healing. Their own combat ability was not outstanding. As a member of the combat type profession, healers also had to form teams with other combat class professionals to participate in Star Web competitions or accept guild missions, which required them to enter dangerous situations. Healers could not protect themselves, so they could only rely on their teammates. The teammates would protect the healing type spirit chi professionals, and the healing type spirit chi professionals would be the team's HP replenishment. This was the main reason why healing type spirit chi professionals were respected. Of course, Lin Yuan did not need to worry. His affinity was not only limited to the healing type, but also the support type. The definition of support type was rather vague. When support type spirit chi professionals contracted certain support type phase, they would have control type abilities or weaken abilities. These abilities originally had damage effects, but there were pros and cons. Support type spirit chi professionals were still enhancement types, which were more favored by combat class spirit chi professionals. As Morbius' grade increased, he would be able to spirit lock on more phase. This way he would be able to choose the combination of healing and support abilities. It might only be a basic ability, but as the Fae evolved, the basic ability would be constantly enhanced and the effects would also be enhanced. In addition, the exclusive skill that spirit-locked Faes would obtain after evolving to bronze grade would also enhance their basic abilities. Therefore, Lin Yuan didn't feel that his basic abilities would be weaker. In any case, with his ability to evolve Faes would definitely reach epic quality when they reached bronze grade. He could only use the spirit-locked Faes basic abilities. This way he wouldn't need to consider too much when choosing the characteristics. He only needed to choose the characteristics that were beneficial to the basic abilities, which would make them stronger. Lin Yuan only needed to choose the type of the spirit-locked Fae to better match his abilities. This was something that other healing type and support type spirit chi professionals could not compare to. Lin Yuan believed that he would definitely become an outstanding healing type and support type spirit chi professional. Lin Yuan looked at the fragile normal eye/normal jasmine lily growing in the pot in his hand. He gently rubbed the jasmine lily's leaves. This was the Fae that he wanted to spirit lock on. This was the start. Lin Yuan used his spiritual energy to communicate with Morbius, which was on his right hand. He activated Morbius' exclusive skill, Spirit Lock. Lin Yuan felt that his spiritual energy was connected to Morbius in the unseen world. Morbius immediately released its spiritual energy to contract the jasmine lily according to Lin Yuan's choice. Spirit Lock was completed. Lin Yuan could feel that the spiritual energy that Morbius released was the same as the spiritual energy that he had used to contract Morbius. Lin Yuan's current spiritual energy wasn't used at all. This meant that Morbius was using Spirit Lock on the Fae, and Lin Yuan only needed to use his spiritual energy to communicate with Morbius. He didn't need to use his spiritual energy. Lin Yuan had always thought that he would need to reserve his spiritual energy to contract the Fae before using Spirit Lock on the Fae in Morbius. Now that he had one less step, Lin Yuan's heart was filled with ecstasy. This meant that he could still contract a Fae that required weak spiritual energy, even if it wasn't at normal grade. However, he could nurture it like how he nurtured Genius and Chimey. At this moment Lin Yuan's mind was working again. He had an affinity with healing type, support type and plant type phase. Since Morbius was a healing type and support type Fae, Lin Yuan could nurture another plant type combat type Fae. This way he would have the ability to protect himself in the wilderness. However, he still had to consider carefully before making this choice. After Morbius' spirit lock was successful, its attributes had a change. Lin Yuan immediately circulated his spirit qi on the jasmine lily that had just spirit lock. After more than an hour, the jasmine lily, which was originally a common rank I normal, evolved into an elite rank I elite jasmine lily. The jasmine lily's leaves were tender and glistening, and the distinct layers of jade green color made one's mood improve. At that moment Lin Yuan checked on Morbius' attributes. Fey name, Morbius Fey species, Fey grade, elite 1/10. Fey type, spatial/mystic Fey quality. Elite abilities frowny face true data. Convert all complex information that cannot be discerned by the naked eye into data. The data might contain the truth that cannot be discerned on the surface. Calm mind, passive ability. The effect of calm mind can be enhanced according to the phase grade. Calm mind can calm the mind and has a certain chance to resist negative states. Exclusive skill frowny face spirit lock. Morbius spatial zone can nurture phase. The initial grade of the Fae that Morbius spatial zone nurtures cannot be higher than Morbius grade. Morbius cannot level up, but its grade will increase along with the Fae that it nurtures. At the same time, it can obtain the initial abilities of the Fae that it nurtures. However, Morbius will not obtain abilities when it levels up. Every time Morbius increases a grade, it will be able to nurture one more Fae. Normal spirit lock. Jasmine Lily, Elite 1/10/Elite. Ability, heal, recovers external injuries. Morbius was now at Elite I/Elite along with the Jasmine Lily's grade. After reaching Elite, Morbius' Spirit Lock spatial zone had evolved. Chapter 28. At that moment, Lin Yuan suddenly heard an unfamiliar, cold but cordial voice. Lin Yuan, I can finally communicate with you after reaching Elite. The voice echoed in Lin Yuan's mind and he quickly reacted. It was his first contracted Fae Morbius. Lin Yuan was rather delighted that Morbius could communicate with him. Faes would always be a spirit chi professional's closest companion. The last time Lin Yuan had sensed Morbius, it had been so weak that it could only transmit a vague consciousness. Lin Yuan had been thinking of ways to enhance Morbius' consciousness. Now that Morbius' grade had increased, Lin Yuan didn't expect this problem to be resolved. Morbius, you were so weak the last time I saw you. Have you fully recovered? The cold voice replied. I can only maintain this state for half an hour every day. I want to tell you about the Spirit Lock spatial zone's function. When Lin Yuan heard that Morbius could only maintain this state for half an hour every day, he was even more determined to quickly evolve the Jasmine Lily to bronze. By then Morbius' condition would definitely be better than now. If a human could sense a Fae's thoughts, so could a Fae. Morbius' originally cold voice was now tainted with warmth. Lin Yuan, this Spirit Lock spatial zone is like a small dimensional space. You can modify this spatial zone and store Faes as you wish. It's just like a secret base. Lin Yuan and Morbius were conversing. After Morbius told Lin Yuan about the Spirit Lock spatial zone's function, Lin Yuan and Morbius started to chat. Morbius had transmigrated together with Lin Yuan and had possessed it since birth. They were like twin brothers. Morbius and Lin Yuan started to talk about all sorts of things and were having a good time. Half an hour had passed and Morbius had reverted to a state where it could only transmit simple thoughts. Lin Yuan thought to himself, once I transform these 150 pots of Usnias into elite phase, I will become a D-rank professional, and my spirit chi conversion speed will increase. By then I will have the strength to evolve the elite phase into bronze phase. He did not exit the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Instead he placed the Jasmine Lily at the side of the Spirit Lock spatial zone's pool. He then dug out a small piece of inferior energy ore from the Jasmine Lily's stone pot and threw it into the pool. Lin Yuan realized that the inferior energy ores quickly disappeared from the pool, and the spirit chi in the inferior energy ores also ran into the pool. The sparkling and translucent pool slowly dispersed the spirit chi into the Spirit Lock spatial zone. The spirit lock spatial zone originally didn't have any spirit chi, and it wasn't suitable to store phase inside. However, if a large number of energy ores were to be thrown into the pool, the spirit chi in the spirit lock spatial zone would probably be several times denser than the outside world. Just by placing phase in the spirit lock spatial zone, the phase evolution speed would be much faster than outside. If he were to enhance phase in the spirit lock spatial zone, with such a strong spirit chi concentration, his spirit chi conversion speed would be much faster than outside. Of course, all of this required a massive amount of Federation dollars as support, as even the low-grade energy ores weren't cheap. Previously, Lin Yuan felt that he had earned more Federation dollars, but from the looks of it now he needed more Federation dollars. It seemed like he still had a long way to go on the path of earning money. After exiting the spirit lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan started to enhance the usnias. For the past few days, apart from eating, sleeping and chatting with Morbius for half an hour every day, Lin Yuan had been enhancing the 150 pots of usnias. On the 7th day after the agreement with Yang Mingkai, Lin Yuan had only enhanced 100 pots of usnias to elite grade. At that moment, Lin Yuan felt that the spirit chi reserve in his body was about to reach a certain level. Once it reached a certain level, the spirit chi in his body would reach a breakthrough, allowing his body's thin gaseous spirit chi to transform into dense, mist-like spirit chi. By then he would be able to become a D-rank spirit chi professional. During these 7 days, Yang Mingkai had already started to deal with the Fey breeding base's matters. This time, Yang Mingkai was renting the factory for the Fey breeding base, as he didn't have enough money to build a Fey breeding base. After renting the Fey breeding base, the facilities inside were all ready-made. Now Yang Mingkai was just waiting for Lin Yuan's 70 pots of elite usnias. After obtaining these elite usnias, Yang Mingkai would be able to breed them with the 20 pots of elite usnias. Yang Mingkai might have kept Lin Yuan's phone number, but he didn't dare to call Lin Yuan to rush him. There must be a creation master behind such a large quantity of goods. If he called Lin Yuan halfway through the agreement, it wouldn't just show that he didn't trust Lin Yuan. If this matter wasn't completed, it would also give Lin Yuan pressure. Therefore, when the agreed time arrived, Yang Mingkai arrived at Lin Yuan's store apprehensively and knocked on the door. When Lin Yuan opened the door, Yang Mingkai was immediately dazzled by the rows of elite usnias. With so many elite usnias placed here and emitting the aura of Federation dollars, Yang Mingkai swallowed his saliva. Big brother Yang, these elite usnias are all here. Back then you said that you wanted 76 pots. You just need to pick 76 pots from these 100 pots. When Yang Mingkai entered, he felt that this place had more usnias than he did. Now that he heard that there were 100 pots, Yang Mingkai couldn't help but laugh heartily. Young brother, have you found a seller for the remaining 24 pots of usnias? The moment Yang Mingkai asked, he felt that he had misspoken. How could he not have a buyer for such a great item like the elite usnias? However, Yang Mingkai really wanted to tighten his belt and buy these 100 pots of usnias. By then, these 120 pots of elite usnias would allow his Fey breeding base to only nurture usnias in the early stages. Usnias never had to worry about sales, and he just needed to slowly accumulate them. It would be like a rolling snowball that would grow bigger. Lin Yuan originally planned to put the remaining elite usnias up on the star web in his Fey store after Yang Mingkai took them. When Lin Yuan had just returned, he had already applied to open a Fey store, and the application had been approved yesterday. However, Lin Yuan had yet to put up any goods in the star web store. Since Yang Mingkai wanted to pack up all 100 pots of elite usnias, it would save Lin Yuan the trouble of putting up over 20 pots of usnias on the star web. Big brother Yang, if you want all of them, then I will sell all 100 pots of usnias to you at the previous price. Yang Mingkai was overjoyed and felt that Lin Yuan was simply too generous. Yang Mingkai already had a very good impression of Lin Yuan, and if Lin Yuan showed any intention to become sworn brothers with him, Yang Mingkai would immediately pull Lin Yuan to become sworn brothers. Chapter 29. Yang Mingkai carefully secured the 100 pots of usnias on the crowned fire salamander's body before packing them up and taking them away. Lin Yuan had also obtained three radiance dollars from this transaction. If these radiance dollars were to be converted to Federation dollars, it would be 3 million Federation dollars. If the previous earnings had allowed Lin Yuan to know that he had the ability to evolve phase to earn money, then the three radiance dollars had made him realize that money was no longer an obstacle in front of him. Now that he had earned three radiance dollars, he realized that money was no longer an obstacle in front of him. What he needed to do was no longer to think about how to earn money, but to better convert the money into his own strength. It was still fine when evolving phase to low-grade phase, but when they reached high-grade phase, they would require a massive amount of resources. Take the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone for example. If Lin Yuan wanted to modify it, he would need to consume an unknown amount of resources. Lin Yuan felt that he had to become a hoarder rat and crazily hoard resources. He wanted to experience the happiness that hoarder rats could experience. After another 2 days, when Lin Yuan was evolving the 34th pot of Xianxia to elite, Lin Yuan suddenly felt the massive amount of thin, gaseous spirit qi in his body was being compressed into a trace of mist-like spirit qi. This trace of mist-like spirit qi was very dense, and it felt as though it would turn into a liquid if it was a little denser. If the mist-like spirit qi could really turn into a liquid, then he would be at the doorstep of a C-rank spirit qi professional. Lin Yuan picked up another pot of elite Xianxia and realized that after becoming a D-rank spirit qi professional, he only needed less than 10 minutes to evolve this normal Xianxia into elite. The time was saved by more than 6 times. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard 2 soft sounds coming from his body. Lin Yuan lowered his head and noticed that the 2 soft sounds were from Genius and Chimey. During the past few days when he was evolving phase, Genius and Chimey would always be relying on him. Genius and Chimey had also broken through the limits of the normal rank and reached the elite rank. Lin Yuan checked on Genius and Chimey's data and was rather surprised when he saw their elite grade abilities. Fey name, 100 questions beast, Fey species, cat species / smart cat species, Fey grade. Elite 1 out of 10. Fey type, spiritual, Fey quality. Elite abilities frowny face precise memory. When memorizing something it can accurately remember every detail and detail. Knowledge analysis. It can conduct a preliminary analysis of the knowledge in the memory. Genius's elite level skill, knowledge analysis, allowed him to integrate the knowledge in Genius's memory systematically. Lin Yuan was pleasantly surprised by the ability to integrate and analyze based on the existing knowledge. Even a high-ranking scholar might not be able to memorize the knowledge recorded in hundreds of books. It was even more impossible for him to analyze the details of the knowledge in these hundreds of books. This elite-grade skill allowed Genius to become a sage, a walking database of knowledge and a master of data analysis. This really made Lin Yuan feel that the name he had given Genius was well-deserved. At that moment the evolved Genius suddenly spoke. "Lin Yuan, I can remember more things now." As it spoke, Genius was jumping on Lin Yuan's leg and happily shaking its little head, looking as though it was asking for praise. Lin Yuan asked as he stroked Genius' fur. "Smart, how much can you remember now?" Genius's body didn't change after evolving to elite grade, but its silver-gray fur had become thicker and glossier. Genius tilted its little head and quickly replied, "Lin Yuan, previously I could only remember 1 energy biscuit." "Lin Yuan, previously I could only remember 1 energy biscuit. Now I can remember as many as 5 energy biscuits." Lin Yuan rubbed Genius' chin with heartache when he heard Genius' analogy. Genius immediately began to purr in enjoyment. In the past, the most delicious thing that this little glutton had eaten was red braised meat, so it would use red braised meat as an analogy for everything. Now, the most delicious thing that it had eaten were energy biscuits, so its analogy had changed from red braised meat to energy biscuits. Genius's increase in memory had truly shocked Lin Yuan. At the start, Genius's knowledge reserve had evolved from 3 to 5 books to normal grade, and it had evolved to 100 books. Now that it had reached elite grade, its memory had actually been enhanced again, and it had become 500 books worth of knowledge reserve. An ordinary person might not be able to read 500 books in their lifetime, let alone memorize all 500 books. Previously, Lin Yuan had asked Genius to select the books when it was studying. Now he could ask Genius to memorize all the books for Elementary Scholar, Fey Observer, and Spiritual Ingredient Analyst. He could even allow Genius to learn other aspects of knowledge in advance. The 100 Questions Beast's evolution to normal grade had already made Lin Yuan very happy. Now that it had broken through to elite grade, it gave Lin Yuan another huge surprise. The evolved 100 Questions Beast was more like a perfect housekeeping beast. At that moment Chimey, which was a little muddle-headed after the evolution, had also woken up. Fey name: Sound bird, Fey species, Bluefinch species/Kingfisher species, Fey grade. Elite 2 out of 10. Fey type: Sound/Chi Fey quality. Elite abilities: Frowny Fey sound thrust. Fire a sharp thorn formed by sound at a designated target. Turbulence: Flap the wings to emit a continuous and irregular air current. Just as Chimey was preparing to fly to Lin Yuan's ear and was about to flap its wings, it saw its own feathers. Chimey immediately chirped with pleasant surprise. Perhaps it was because Chimey had failed to evolve into a songstress bird, but the songstress bird's feathers were blue. Therefore Chimey had always had a special liking for the color blue. Right now, Chimey's feathers had completely transformed from green to blue. However, Chimey's appearance was completely different from the songstress bird. Firstly, Chimey was still the size of half a palm, and there weren't any changes to its size due to the evolution. Instead, it was more exquisite and small. The blue color of its feathers wasn't the dark blue of the songstress bird, but the azure blue of the sky on a cloudless sunny day. It was the kind of azure blue that could suck a person's eyes in with a single glance. On Chimey's azure blue feathers there were faint patterns. The color of the patterns was rather faint, and Lin Yuan couldn't tell what they looked like. He only felt that they were faint cloud patterns. Phase evolutions were traceable, and there wouldn't be any special evolutions that would vanish during the next evolution. Chapter 30. Right now Chimey was simply too exquisite. Compared to the elite birds that relied on their good looks to win, their attractiveness was also one of the best. Chimey looked at the blue feathers on its body and froze for a long time. It chirped and jumped onto Lin Yuan's ear before happily singing. Chimey's singing had also changed. Previously, Chimey's singing had reached the standard of a hall master. Chimey's singing was more like the singing of the legendary bramble bird. Every note in the song was like the praise of life, the clear cry of the sirens and the chanting of the sun and moon. This was an ability to bring out the full potential of singing. This was probably an innate talent that only the sound bird, or rather only Chimey, which had evolved into an elite-grade sound bird, possessed. Compared to these, Lin Yuan paid more attention to Chimey's attributes. Chimey's current attributes were no longer purely sound after evolving to elite grade. Instead, it was a dual element of sound and air. Lin Yuan had been worried that Chimey would keep walking on the path of the music type, making the path narrower and narrower. Now that it had evolved into a sound and chi dual type, it undoubtedly broadened the path that Chimey could take in the future. Lin Yuan walked to the door and took out the wooden board that he had used to test Chimey's damage. Chimey used turbulence. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's command, Chimey immediately flapped its wings. Chimey's tiny body suddenly erupted with energy, setting off a chaotic airflow that reverberated around Chimey's body. Following that, Chimey controlled turbulence and slammed into the 1 centimeter thick wooden board. The 1 centimeter thick wooden board buzzed. It sounded as if something sharp was scraping against a wooden board. In this turbulence, the size of the wooden board kept shrinking. In the end, it had shrunk to a third of its original size, and the edges of the wooden board had already been torn into sawdust by the turbulence. After evolving to the elite rank, Chimey's attack power was far from what it had been at the normal rank. Lin Yuan looked at Chimey with approval. Then he took out an iron plate that was used to build a shelf and walked to the courtyard. He placed the iron plate on the ground and said to Chimey, "Chimey, use turbulence again to attack this metal plate." It was still the same as before, but this time the chaotic current quake made a caw-caw sound, but the iron plate was not damaged in the slightest. At this moment Chimey let out a clear cry, and at the same time, a small hole suddenly appeared on the iron plate. After that, the turbulence seemed to have found a direction and surged towards the small hole. The small hole in the iron plate was instantly torn open by the turbulence. When the turbulence ended, Lin Yuan looked at the metal plate that had a sizable hole on the ground and gave Chimey a thumbs up. The combination of sound thrust and chaotic flow was surprisingly useful. Sound thrust was like a sneaky hidden weapon, while turbulence was mainly used for continuous damage and crowd control. In addition, when Chimey released chaotic flow, it would first circulate around Chimey's body. This could also be used as a defensive method to help Chimey block attacks that it couldn't dodge in time. After receiving Lin Yuan's praise, Chimey scurried around the courtyard happily. It then flew onto Genius' head and jumped back and forth as though it was telling Genius how great it was. Genius and Chimey's evolution had given him more confidence. At that moment, Lin Yuan suddenly thought of something and silently said, "This isn't good." After such a long time he seemed to have forgotten about the two web-spraying spiders. Could the two web-spraying spiders be dead? Lin Yuan quickly returned to the house and opened the two Elite Phase storage boxes. As a result, he noticed that the two web-spraying spiders were lying motionlessly on the ground. Lin Yuan had the thought of making a desperate attempt and placed both of his hands on the web-spraying spiders' bodies to transfer spirit qi. A few minutes later, the two web-spraying spiders slightly moved their legs. Lin Yuan was relieved as it seemed like the two web-spraying spiders weren't dead. However, if he was a little later, they wouldn't be far from death. Lin Yuan wasn't in a hurry to promote the two web-spraying spiders' grades. Instead, he cut a few elite usnea vines and fed them to the web-spraying spiders. The web-spraying spiders were omnivores. They might not like to eat usnea vines, but the abundant energy in the usnea vines was undoubtedly a good supplement for the web-spraying spiders' stamina. The two web-spraying spiders ate 5 usnea vines in succession before recovering their stamina. After the two web-spraying spiders recovered, Lin Yuan started to enhance the two web-spraying spiders' grades. They would evolve from Elite X/Flawless to Bronze grade. Lin Yuan was planning to promote these two web-spraying spiders to Bronze grade and sell them on the Star Web. Lin Yuan wasn't planning to promote the two web-spraying spiders to Epic grade. Even if they were to evolve them to Epic grade, they would only be able to choose a better exclusive skill after reaching Bronze grade. The time and price required wouldn't be proportional. Normally, Creation Masters would promote Elite Phase to Epic grade, but it would be through private customization. Once the Fae reached Epic grade, the customizer would bring it back to gamble on the 3 exclusive skills to see if there was one that they truly desired. Even if it was an Epic grade Elite Fae, when evolving to Bronze grade, there might not be a Supreme grade exclusive skill among the 3 exclusive skills. As compared to evolving a Flawless Fae to Bronze grade, it was just an additional 3 chances. 2 hours later, the two web-spraying spiders let out horrifying growls and evolved to Bronze grade. After evolving to Bronze grade, the two web-spraying spiders looked completely different from before. One of the web-spraying spider's hind legs had become longer, and its abdomen had become bigger. These 2 longer spider legs were called the weaving legs. This web-spraying spider was evolving in the direction of spiritual mutation. Its size didn't increase, but it became stronger after the weaving web. The exclusive skill was Sticky Spider Web, which increased the stickiness of the spider web, allowing the web-spraying spider to have better control. As for the other web-spraying spider, its size had increased by 2 folds. The brownish-yellow web-spraying spider's body had a pale green color. It was definitely evolving towards the prehistoric atavism. This web-spraying spider had awakened the exclusive skill Vicious Venom. It allowed its body, including the spider web, to have intense venom, which was also a rather good skill. Its control might not increase, but it increased the poison's lethal ability. Lin Yuan nodded with satisfaction. These 2 web-spraying spiders should be able to sell for a good price on the Star Web. The exclusive skills of these 2 web-spraying spiders might not be considered supreme grade, but they were above average. Now that these 2 identical web-spraying spiders had evolved to Bronze grade, Lin Yuan finally understood why there would be an increase in the diversity of Bronze grade phase. Different evolution directions and exclusive skills would allow the same phase to have a world of difference. The diversity made Lin Yuan feel that evolving phase was a very cool thing. It was a feeling of creating life and revolutionizing the species. The evolution of these 2 web-spraying spiders allowed Lin Yuan to experience the magnificence of the epic of life. The sunlight from the window shone into the Fae store and onto Lin Yuan's face. It dyed Lin Yuan's body with a layer of warm light. Chapter 31. Dawn might be the faint light that broke through the distant mountain's silhouette, but in the eyes of the 2 web-spraying spiders, it was undoubtedly the salvation of their lives. A pair of hands were placed on their carapaces, and the endless spirit qi from the hands had pulled them back from the gates of hell. However, the web-spraying spiders didn't know that the dawn in their eyes was about to be sold in the Star Web store. In fact, when a creation master evolved a fae and sold it, it was also the process of finding a contractor for the fae. The relationship between spirit chi professionals and faes had always been mutually beneficial. Spirit chi professionals would think of all ways to nurture faes, and while the faes would increase their strength, it would also imperceptibly increase the spirit chi professionals' combat ability. Lin Yuan had already logged into the Star Web through the Star Web card. In the past, Lin Yuan loved to visit fae websites to learn more about nurturing faes. Websites like fae websites still had the appearance of the network before the spirit chi awakening. It was different for the Star Web as it was a second world for humans. Using the Star Web card to log into the Star Web was like entering a brand new network world. He had rarely logged on to Star Web before, so apart from his name, age and basic identity information, his Star Web account was blank. Lin Yuan didn't immediately complete his personal information such as spirit chi rank, contracted fae and hobbies. Instead, he entered the Star Web store that he had just applied for. When he had applied for this store, the application fee had cost Lin Yuan 100,000 Federation dollars, which made Lin Yuan's heart ache. The store didn't have a name yet, so Lin Yuan conveniently changed the store's name to Purchase with No Loss Fae Store. After changing the store's name, it was immediately verified. It was very convenient, and Lin Yuan couldn't help but nod with satisfaction. Lin Yuan still remembered an advertising slogan from his previous life. You can't buy with a loss, you can't buy with a scam. To get your money's worth, take a look inside the house, take a look inside the house. Now that his store was called Purchase with No Loss Fae Store, the name immediately displayed the store's conscience and sincerity. It was great. At that moment, Genius, who was sitting on Lin Yuan's lap, tilted its head and looked at Lin Yuan. Genius didn't know why, but when it saw Lin Yuan's brilliant smile, it felt that Lin Yuan wasn't very smart. The Star Web store that he had just applied for was only a Class 1 Star Web store. Although it was a Class 1 Star Web store, the area of the store wasn't small. This made Lin Yuan's heart, which was aching from spending 100,000 Federation dollars, feel much better. The first and second floors of the Fae store that Lin Yuan had opened in the real world were no more than 80 square meters. For jobs like bookstores where all prices were fixed, AI robots were able to do it. However, if it was a fae store or a spiritual ingredient store that required in-depth communication with customers, AI robots wouldn't be able to do it. They would have to recruit employees from the Star Web, but the price would be several times more expensive than AI robots. Many people would choose to work part-time on the Star Web or do some full-time jobs. However, there were pros and cons to hiring employees. Hired employees weren't as reliable as AI robots in certain aspects. Lin Yuan quickly completed the purchase of the books with the robot's guidance. Before the purchase, Lin Yuan had to sign a confidentiality contract, promising that the books wouldn't be used by anyone other than his immediate family members. After the Spirit Chi awakening, all knowledge, even low-grade occupations, had to be purchased. Furthermore, a confidentiality contract had to be signed after the purchase. Lin Yuan couldn't help but sigh. No matter when, the saying that knowledge was wealth still hadn't changed. There were a total of 327 books for the Basic Scholar, Fae Observer and Spiritual Ingredient Analyst categories. Lin Yuan had purchased all of them. After purchasing them, Lin Yuan just had to wait for Ostrich Logistics to deliver the knowledge chips that stored the 327 books. He would then ask Genius to memorize the contents of the books. Chapter 32. Just now, when Lin Yuan had entered the bookstore, he had felt that the bookstore's decoration was very retro and grand. After thinking about his store, he walked toward the furniture and decoration store on Star Web. After visiting a few furniture stores, Lin Yuan resolutely dispelled the thought of decorating his store. The furniture in this store was at least 10 times more expensive than outside. Looking at the white wooden chair, the asking price had already reached 5,500 federal coins. Lin Yuan decisively chose not to buy them. He felt that it was fine as long as his store sold good items. He would just forget about the furniture and decorations. However, Lin Yuan planned to get an AI robot in the store. When selling faes like the elite Usnias, the price was fixed and Lin Yuan didn't intend to give a chance to bargain. Just set a fixed price. As for other superior fays, when Lin Yuan wasn't in the store, people who were interested in purchasing them could also leave a message with the AI robot. When Lin Yuan went online, they would communicate. AI robots might not be very useful, but the store was just starting out and Lin Yuan could take care of everything by himself. Moreover, it was not easy to recruit a reliable employee. It depended on fate. When Lin Yuan returned to his store and was about to purchase an AI robot, he realized that there were already customers in his store. A young girl wearing a blue cowboy outfit and a bumblebee headgear bent over and carefully observed the two web-spraying spiders in the shop. He looked at one of them, then at the other, curling his lips in an unhappy manner. Since there was business in the store, Lin Yuan hurriedly went forward and said, "There's a customer in the store. I wonder if you have any interest in these two web-spraying spiders?" He didn't know when the girl came, but it seemed like she had been waiting for a long time. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's voice, he said to him, "Don't worry. Are you the owner? You don't even have an AI robot in your shop. I can only wait here foolishly, not knowing when you will come back." Lin Yuan smiled apologetically and said, "That's right. This shop just opened today, so I haven't had the time to prepare the AI robots." The girl said with a look of sudden realization, "No wonder I have been looking for stores that sell bronze spider face. Why did I only find your store today? If I had seen purchase with no losses shark carving store name before, I wouldn't have not clicked on it." Lin Yuan's smile froze and he could not help but twitch twice. Looking at this girl who was about the same age as his little sister and wearing a bee mask, he felt that this little brat was asking for a beating. It was obvious that he had too little homework. The girl also felt that she had said something wrong, so she stuck out her tongue and said, "Uncle, how much are these two spiders worth? Don't set the price too high. Your shop's name is Purchase with No Loss." Lin Yuan was usually addressed as little brother, or little brother. This was the first time someone addressed him as uncle. Lin Yuan thought that he must serve the store's first customer with a smile, so he spoke patiently. This smaller web-spraying spider with slender legs awakened an exclusive skill called sticky spider web. This larger web-spraying spider with a green body awakened an exclusive skill called vicious venom. When Lin Yuan mentioned vicious venom, the girl let out an "ah," and subconsciously took a step back. There was nothing behind the girl to lean on, so she fell to the ground. Coincidentally, the bee mask on the girl's head fell off. Lin Yuan subconsciously wanted to pull the girl up, but when he saw her head, he subconsciously blurted out, "Studeg." Ah! The screams were even louder than when he fell down earlier. The girl hurriedly picked up the bumblebee headgear from the ground and put it on her head. She tightened the bumblebee headgear and said, "This is because I was stung by a ghost shadow-bristled spider. It's a side effect of treatment. It'll heal in a few months. It's not some marinated egg." Upon seeing the girl's furious expression, Lin Yuan couldn't help but rub the back of his head with an apologetic expression. Although it was unintentional for him to call her a braised egg earlier, it was not a big deal. However, the displeasure of being called an idiot and being called an uncle were all gone. When this girl mentioned the ghost shadow-bristled spider, Lin Yuan felt as though he had heard of someone being stung by a ghost shadow-bristled spider before, but he couldn't recall it. However, this girl was able to be treated after being stung by a ghost shadow-bristled spider. When she was just stung, she must have been treated by a healer with a gold or above healing type fae. The girl turned her head and ignored Lin Yuan. She continued to look at the two bronze web-spraying spiders. When Lin Yuan saw the situation, he asked, "Do you like spider fays a lot?" The girl seemed to have been poked at her sore spot as she immediately jumped up and said, "I hate spider fays the most. I hate arachnid fays the most. Who would like big furry bugs?" As she spoke, the girl's mouth pouted and added, "But my innate affinity is with spider fays." Lin Yuan first felt that it was a little comical that a person who hated spider fays the most could only contract spider fays. Lin Yuan first felt that it was a little funny that the person who hated spider fays the most could only contract spider fays. Spider fays belonged to the arachnid order, and the arachnid order was a very prosperous species of insects. Spider fays also belonged to the arachnid order, and the arachnid order was a very prosperous group of insects. Spider fays belonged to the arachnid order, and the arachnid order was a very prosperous species of insects. Since this girl had an affinity with spider fays, she had many choices in terms of contracting fays, allowing her to develop in a wide range of directions. After taking a closer look at the two web-spraying spiders, the girl shook her head and said to Lin Yuan, "This won't do. No way, no way. I wish to contract a spider-type fae with strong control ability, but these two web-spraying spiders' exclusive skills are still a little weak. It would be great if I can customize an elite/epic web-spraying spider. I must obtain the transparent spiderweb exclusive skill." After hearing the girl's words, Lin Yuan was secretly astonished. The transparent spiderweb was an extremely rare exclusive skill. It might not be powerful by itself, but when paired with other faes, it would produce unexpected effects. However, it wasn't possible to obtain a fixed exclusive skill with just one or two epic web-spraying spiders. If one's luck wasn't good, it was possible to obtain 10 or 20 of them. Just as the girl was about to walk out, Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and spoke. "You wish to customize an epic web-spraying spider? I have a way. How many do you want?" The girl immediately turned around and looked at Lin Yuan with vigilance. Chapter 33. An epic fae might only be at elite, but its price was at least 2 times higher than a bronze fae of the same species. To Lin Yuan, evolving an elite fae to epic would require more time than evolving an elite/flawless fae to bronze. The ability to evolve an elite fae to epic wasn't something a regular creation master could do. At the very least, a class 1 creation master wouldn't be able to do it. Lin Yuan looked at the braised egg girl with a dark expression and waved his hand. "Hurry up and go. Let's take a look at the other stores. They might have the web-spraying spiders that you want." Lin Yuan had already turned around and was preparing to purchase the AI robot, but he was stopped by the girl. The girl blinked her big eyes, and when she was swaying with the little bee hat she looked like a little bee. "Uncle, why don't we add each other as star web friends?" Lin Yuan looked at the little bee and said, "Uncle, why don't we add each other as star web friends?" "I won't add you as a star web friend. If you want to buy something from the store you can come again." "Uncle, you aren't angry, right? Look at your store, it doesn't even have a single piece of furniture. I have always been deceived and I am afraid of being deceived. Be more vigilant occasionally." When looking at the girl's cunning eyes, Lin Yuan cursed in his heart. "You think you can be deceived? It will be good if you don't deceive others." This time Lin Yuan handed his star web name card to the girl. The girl also handed her star web name card to Lin Yuan. As Lin Yuan was looking at the girl's name card, he heard a burst of laughter from the side. "Ah, Deep Mountain Elder Lin. What a shark eagle name." Lin Yuan looked at the girl's star web name card and said, "Isn't the shark eagle a fish that lives in cloud stream? Aren't shark eagles the fish that live in the stream in the clouds? You actually said I'm a shark eagle? How dare you call me Sha Condor? I said cloud stream. No, I heard it just now. You are saying I'm a shark eagle." Finally, Lin Yuan signed a contract with the star web name Cloudstream. The girl in the braised egg used the price of 2 radiance dollars for each elite/epic web-spraying spider. The girl in the braised egg ordered 5 elite/epic web-spraying spiders at the price of 2 radiance dollars per elite/epic web-spraying spider. When signing the contract, Lin Yuan could not help but sigh in his heart when he saw her swipe her star web card. This was really rich and overbearing. When signing a contract to order a fae on the star web, it wasn't a down payment but a full payment. Therefore, the girl with the braised egg immediately paid 10 radiance dollars without batting an eyelid. Of course, if Lin Yuan could not complete the required phase on the contract, in addition to having to pay for the breach of contract, the purchase with no loss phase store's store credit would also be deducted. A shop with a low reputation would naturally have a bad reputation. When the reputation reached a certain level, the shop's qualification would be revoked. After sending the girl away, he bought a smart robot with better performance. After setting the price of the elite/elite usnias in the AI robot, Lin Yuan was prepared to visit other phase stores. First, he had to purchase 5 elite web-spraying spiders. It would be best if he could purchase an elite X/flawless web-spraying spider. He would then take it back and evolve it into an epic web-spraying spider. The elite X/flawless web-spraying spider wasn't considered a rare elite fae. Therefore Lin Yuan received it easily. Each elite/flawless web-spraying spider cost around 200,000 Federation dollars. Therefore these 5 web-spraying spiders cost Lin Yuan 1 radiance dollar. After buying the book The AI Robot and the 5 Elite X/Flawless Web-Spraying Spiders, Lin Yuan's assets had been reduced by half. 3 radiance dollars that he had just earned in the morning had been spent before it could even warm up. Including the money that Lin Yuan had earned previously, he was now only left with 4 radiance dollars. Lin Yuan couldn't help but sigh. This money was truly not enough to last. After purchasing the 5 Elite/Flawless Web-Spraying Spiders, Lin Yuan couldn't help but sigh. Lin Yuan searched the Star Web store again. This time he was very serious and meticulous in his selection. Lin Yuan wanted to find Morbius Elite Fae with Spirit Locked. Only by evolving the normal and elite phase to bronze grade would Morbius be able to evolve into a bronze grade Fae. Lin Yuan already had a plan for Morbius Elite Fae with Spirit Locked. However, this choice was truly a challenge for Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan wanted to choose the Spirit Siphon Goldfish that almost no one would choose among the support type phase. The reason why no one would choose the Spirit Siphon Goldfish wasn't because its ability wasn't powerful. On the contrary, the Spirit Siphon Goldfish's starting ability was the most popular ability among support type phase, Spirit Injection. Spirit Injection could rapidly recover the Spirit Chi consumed by the Spirit Chi professional during a battle. The Spirit Siphon Goldfish had such a unique starting ability, but no one would choose it. It was because the Spirit Siphon Goldfish was only compatible with pure Spirit Chi. It had a certain rejection towards Spirit Chi that was catalyzed by spiritual ingredients. Furthermore, the Spirit Siphon Goldfish consumed a lot of Spirit Chi. If the Spirit Siphon Goldfish wanted to evolve, it would require at least 10 times more Spirit Chi than other Faes of the same grade. Such a situation made the Spirit Siphon Goldfish the Fae that Creation Masters hated the most. Due to the difficulty of evolving, no one would choose to form a contract with the Spirit Siphon Goldfish. The Spirit Siphon Goldfish might be of little value, but its price wasn't low. It was because when the Spirit Siphon Goldfish was swimming, it would release Spirit Chi into the surrounding environment. The higher the grade of the Spirit Siphon Goldfish, the more Spirit Chi it would release. This made the Spirit Siphon Goldfish an excellent choice to assist Spirit Chi professionals in absorbing Spirit Chi for cultivation. There were plenty of stores selling Spirit Siphon Goldfish on the Star Web, but they were mostly selling normal ones. There were only a few stores that sold Elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish. Lin Yuan finally chose a Class 3 store because it didn't just sell Spirit Siphon Goldfish, it also sold spiritual ingredients. It just so happened that Lin Yuan could buy everything he wanted in this store. After entering the Class 3 store, Lin Yuan realized that it wasn't just big. It had an area of nearly 800 square meters. When taking a glance, there were all sorts of Faes and spiritual ingredients that were placed in an orderly manner. It made the 800 square meters seem rather crowded. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard a gentle female voice echoing in his ears. "What do you want to buy? I will bring you over. The store's employees are on leave today, so please forgive me if there is any neglect." When this woman was speaking, she even let out a friendly smile, and it felt as though she had unknowingly pulled Lin Yuan closer. Lin Yuan went straight to the point and stated his objective. "Boss, I wish to buy a Spirit Siphon Goldfish from your store." "This way, please." The middle-aged woman led the way and quickly brought Lin Yuan to a pool that was around 6 to 7 square meters. Chapter 34. When Lin Yuan approached the pool, he felt that the Spirit Chi was much denser. The middle-aged woman pointed at the pool of Spirit Siphon Goldfish and said, "The smaller ones in the pool are all normal grade. The red goldfish that is more than twice the size of the other Spirit Siphon Goldfish is an elite grade 1. Lin Yuan asked curiously, "What are the prices of normal and elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish?" The middle-aged woman chuckled. "You don't have to call me boss. I should be much older than you. Just call me Sister Xin. Normal Spirit Siphon Goldfish, regardless of species, are all 0.5 radiance dollars. My price for Elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish is 5 radiance dollars each." Even if Lin Yuan already knew that the Elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish would cost a lot, he still couldn't help but click his tongue when he heard that it would cost 5 radiance dollars each. When Zhou Xian saw Lin Yuan's surprised expression, she added, I have already quoted a very cheap price for this elite spirit siphon goldfish because the species of the elite spirit siphon goldfish here is very inferior. If it is a better species, it will be sold for at least 7 radiance dollars. Other places sell normal spirit siphon goldfish with different species, but here the price of all normal spirit siphon goldfish is the same. I will just be buying them for the appearance. Very few creation masters will be willing to accept the order to evolve them. Lin Yuan nodded in response. Spirit siphon goldfish was actually a general term for all kinds of goldfish before the spirit energy revival. For example, the dragon eye, gilt, ranchu, taishi, and butterfly tail goldfish were all spirit siphon goldfish. It was just that these different spirit siphon goldfish didn't have much of a difference between the normal and elite grades. However, after they reached the bronze grade, the direction of their evolution would be different. This time, Lin Yuan wanted to buy the spirit siphon goldfish's dragon eye species. It was said that if the dragon eye species were to undergo prehistoric atavism, there was a certain possibility that it would stimulate the thin dragon bloodline. That would be like leaping through the dragon's gate, although the possibility of that happening was extremely small. Previously, there was also a dragon eye spirit siphon goldfish that had been nurtured to bronze grade by a high-ranked creation master. It had undergone prehistoric atavism and awakened the dragon species bloodline. The spirit siphon goldfish that had awakened the dragon species bloodline was put up for auction in the Star Web's Rare Lifeform Pavilion. In the end, it was sold for a sky-high price. Now he wanted to try and see if he could stimulate the dragon-eyed goldfish's dragon species bloodline at bronze. In fact, even if he couldn't activate it, it wouldn't be bad for him. The spirit siphon goldfish's basic ability was already powerful enough. He wanted to buy a spirit siphon goldfish to experiment and see how long it would take for the spirit siphon goldfish to evolve. He wanted to see if the spirit siphon goldfish's advancement speed would increase by several folds in the spirit lock spatial zone that was rich in spirit chi. If the spirit siphon goldfish were able to evolve sufficiently quickly in his spirit lock spatial zone, his store would be able to mainly sell elite-grade spirit siphon goldfish in the future. This way, the store's reputation would spread quickly. Of course, Lin Yuan still had to complete the order for the 5 web-spraying spiders. He simply did not have enough capital to purchase the spirit siphon goldfish now. Lin Yuan picked a black and healthy normal eye/normal-eyed goldfish from the spirit siphon goldfish pond. With the remaining money, Lin Yuan planned to purchase more energy ores to increase the spirit lock spatial zone's spirit chi density. He wanted to see what the limit of the spirit lock spatial zone's spirit chi capacity was. Lin Yuan bought 1,000 caddies of inferior energy ores from Big Sister Xian at the price of 500 Federation dollars per caddy. Now Lin Yuan was only left with 0.9 radiance dollars. Lin Yuan didn't idle around with the 0.9 radiance dollars and purchased some butterfly shells. The butterfly shell beast was a kind of deep-sea fae, and the butterfly shells were polished from the butterfly shell beast shell. There were all sorts of flower patterns. The butterfly shell beast's shell had many colors, and the price of the butterfly shells was similar. Lin Yuan chose the yellow butterfly shell, and the flower pattern was polished to look like a ginkgo leaf. The butterfly shells that were polished were glowing with a pearl-like luster. These butterfly shells were mainly used to feed the spirit siphon goldfish. As a spiritual ingredient, the butterfly shells could slightly accelerate the awakening of water-type phase bloodline. Furthermore, these golden yellow butterfly shells that looked like ginkgo leaves were placed at the bottom of the spirit lock spatial zone's copper-colored pond. It was like a tranquil and pleasant late autumn scenery, and it looked very beautiful. After spending 0.9 radiance dollars, Lin Yuan was only able to purchase a handful of butterfly shells. This handful of butterfly shells had over 100 pieces, and it should be enough for a spirit siphon goldfish to eat for 3 to 5 months. Lin Yuan thought that it would be best if the spirit lock spatial zone could accelerate the spirit siphon goldfish's growth. It wasn't difficult for him to evolve the spirit siphon goldfish, as he could purify the spirit chi in the air and guide it into the phase body for the fae to absorb. This way, it wouldn't be rejected by the spirit siphon goldfish. However, the time required to evolve a spirit siphon goldfish was more than 10 times that of other faes. Evolving the spirit siphon goldfish was truly not worth it. While Lin Yuan was evolving the fae, he was also thinking of increasing his strength. He didn't wish to nurture the spirit siphon goldfish and waste his speed of increasing the spirit chi in his body. Zhou Xian didn't expect that she would actually receive such a huge order in just a short period of time. Therefore she asked Lin Yuan a few more questions. You are buying so many inferior energy ores. You should be using them to nurture low-grade phase, right? Lin Yuan didn't nod or shake his head. He simply smiled and replied, Big Sister Exen, I do need to consume some inferior energy ores on a daily basis. Zhou Xian looked at Lin Yuan and felt that Lin Yuan's body had a refreshing aura of plants after the rain, which made her feel an indescribable closeness. Zhou Xian immediately applied to add Lin Yuan's Star Web account. Let's add each other as friends. If you need anything in the future, just let me know. If there are some spiritual ingredients that aren't available in the store, as long as you can afford it, I can help you get them. Lin Yuan readily agreed. Stores that sold spiritual ingredients would mostly sell low-grade or mid-grade spiritual ingredients. Even if the store owner had high-grade spiritual ingredients, they wouldn't display them in the store. All the spirit chi professionals were thinking of ways to evolve their phase. Therefore, some of the rarer spiritual ingredients were always in short supply. With Zhou Xian's Star Web account, it saved Lin Yuan a lot of trouble. If he needed anything in the future, he could just order directly. The spiritual ingredients in this Class 3 store might not be the cheapest, but the quality was passable. During this period of time, I might need to purchase some energy ores, butterfly shells, and a few spirit siphon goldfish from Big Sister Exen. Are you still only selling inferior energy ores? Lin Yuan nodded. The higher the grade of the energy ores, the purer the spirit chi. It was also easier to guide the spirit chi out of the energy ores for the Fae to slowly absorb. However, the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone's spirit pool could directly decompose inferior energy ores into spirit chi. With such a comparison, inferior energy ores were naturally the most cost-effective. Zhou Xian noted it down, but she was rather surprised. Chapter 35. If it was a large-scale Fae breeding base, it would definitely require a lot of spiritual ingredients. If he could get the customers, then he would have a steady stream of orders in the future. With that thought, Zhou Xian treated Lin Yuan even better and said, As long as you inform me in advance, the goods will be ready in half an hour. As long as you tell me in advance, the goods will be ready in half an hour, and Ostrich Logistics will deliver them to you in a few hours. That's right. If you have any good Faes, you can sell them to me. Or you can purchase some severely injured Faes from me. These Faes are alive, and I can guarantee the freshness of the special spiritual ingredients. When Lin Yuan heard the words severely injured, his eyes lit up. Did this mean that it was time for him to pick up scraps? As for Zhou Xian's suggestion to purchase Faes, Lin Yuan didn't intend to do so. Lin Yuan wanted to use quality Faes to increase his store's reputation. When Zhou Xian saw Lin Yuan's sparkling eyes, she couldn't help but laugh. Today is September 6th. On September 27th, a batch of severely injured Faes will arrive in the store. You can come and take a look then. These Faes have all been treated by Class 2 Creation Masters. If a Class 2 Creation Master can't save a Fae, it is basically impossible for it to recover. Zhou Xian's words were very clear, and she was dispelling Lin Yuan's thoughts of picking up scraps. Lin Yuan understood Zhou Xian's intention. However, if a Class 2 Creation Master couldn't treat an injury, it didn't mean that Lin Yuan couldn't. Even the severely injured Faes in Zhou Xian's store wouldn't exceed gold grade. They would at most be silver grade Faes. For such Faes, the price to hire a Class 3 Creation Master was even more expensive than the silver Fae itself. Therefore, if a Class 2 Creation Master couldn't treat a Fae, it would basically be a death sentence. Class 2 Creation Masters used simple methods to maintain the Fae's lives and guarantee the freshness of the spiritual ingredients within the Faes. Therefore, instead of saying that Zhou Xian was selling severely injured Faes, it would be better to say that she was selling extremely fresh spiritual ingredients. Lin Yuan was now a D-rank spirit chi professional, and he wasn't confident that he could immediately treat a severely injured silver Fae. However, the input of spirit chi could ensure that the silver Fae would constantly improve, and after a period of time, there would always be a possibility of recovery. Then I shall come to the store on the 27th to take a look. Big Sister X and I have been here for a while. Why don't I see anyone coming in? Lin Yuan didn't mean that Zhou Xian's store had fewer customers, but he was genuinely doubtful. For a 3-star store like Zhou Xian, which had a good reputation, there should be an endless stream of people coming and going. Why was it so quiet now? Zhou Xian pointed to the poster on the wall of her shop. There's a competition in the Starry Sky Tower's Radiance Stairway today. It just so happens that 2 sequence members are going to watch the competition. My shop assistant took half a day off to watch the competition as well. Zhou Xian looked at Lin Yuan and blinked, thinking that there was actually someone who didn't know about the major incident on Star Web. Sequence member? In the Radiance Federation, only the Radiance 100 could be called the sequence. The Radiance 100 ranking represented the sequence from 1 to 100. The people in the Radiance 100 sequence were the younger generation of the Federation, and the 100 sequence's age difference was no more than 10 years. Every year 10 members of the 100 sequence would retire, and every year 10 new members would replace them. Of course, there were 2 types of Radiance 100 members who retired. The first type would be those who were defeated in the sequence. Those who were ranked between sequence 90 to 100 would automatically leave the Radiance 100 sequence to make room for the newcomers. The other type would be those who retired after serving in the Radiance 100 sequence for 10 years. They would then be filled with glory when they retired. This would undoubtedly increase the competition within the Radiance 100 sequence. However, no matter how intense the internal competition was, the Radiance 100 would always be the brightest stars of the Radiance Federation's younger generation. At the same time, they were the Radiance Federation's new pillar of support. Lin Yuan didn't expect that there would be 2 sequence members going against each other in the Starry Sky Tower's Radiance Stairway. It was no wonder that the Star Web was full of people. They must have gone to watch the competition between the sequence members. Lin Yuan immediately settled the bill and used his remaining 90,000 Federation dollars to buy a ticket with 4,000 Federation dollars. However, Lin Yuan, who had bought the ticket, realized that the competition had already started for close to 10 minutes. A competition between 2 sequence members was rather rare on the Celestial Stairway ranking. In particular, the 2 sequences he encountered were quite popular sequence members. Therefore, the Star Web had already carried out large-scale publicity for this duel a long time ago. The inner and outer arena tickets had already been sold out. Lin Yuan had spent 4,000 Federation dollars to buy the high platform tickets. There was no limit to the sale of the high platform tickets. As long as one wanted to watch, they would be able to stand on the high platform and watch the duel. However, the view in the outer arena were completely incomparable, let alone the inner arena. Star Web Celestial Stairway Duel Arena High Platform. The Celestial Stairway Duel Arena was filled with a hubbub of voices, and the shouts were endless with a different kind of passion. This passionate sound wave gave a shock to Lin Yuan, who had just arrived at the high platform. Lin Yuan looked around the high platform and saw a little bee headgear shaking her head as she watched the duel from afar. It seemed like this girl with the braised egg had come here to watch the duel after leaving her store. There was still an empty seat beside the girl with the braised egg. As soon as Lin Yuan walked over, he heard the girl with the braised egg shouting, "Lord White Devil, all the best. Lady Unknown Flame will win." When Lin Yuan heard Stream in the Cloud's enthusiastic shouts, he didn't feel anything at first. However, after hearing it, he looked at the excited Stream in the Cloud in surprise and couldn't help but ask, "Who are you cheering for? Who are you cheering for? This is the first time I'm seeing people cheering for both sides in a duel." When Stream in the Cloud heard someone teasing her, she turned around and realized it was Lin Yuan. When she saw that it was an acquaintance, her face revealed a hint of joy, but then she had a blank expression. "Deep Mountain Elder Lin, be it Lady White Devil or Lady Unknown Flame, they are both my idols. I'll be happy no matter who wins." It seemed like this girl with the braised egg was a fanatical fan. The surroundings were noisy and many people were doing their best to cheer. Such a scene had also infected Lin Yuan, and he couldn't help but feel his blood boiling. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, between Lady White Devil and Lady Unknown Flame, who do you support more? Stream in the Cloud looked at Lin Yuan curiously. Lin Yuan was stumped. In the past he was just a busy person struggling to survive. In addition, his spiritual energy was weak, and he would feel dizzy when he used the old-fashioned mobile phone for a while every day. He was not familiar with these 2 sequence members, so he naturally didn't know who to support. However, anyone who could enter the Radiance 100 sequence would be the Radiance Federation's guardian in the future. Lin Yuan said, I'm the same as you. I support both of them. Stream in the Cloud's eyes lit up. On such an occasion, having the same supporters would undoubtedly shorten the distance between each other. Stream in the Cloud started to talk non-stop to Lin Yuan. Chapter 36. Lin Yuan might not know who the members of the Radiant Sequence were. However, he knew that the sequence's ranking was based on potential and strength. Therefore, to be ranked at Sequence 18, one must have outstanding strength and potential. This Sequence 18 White Devil was a healer that didn't have any offensive means. Lin Yuan couldn't help but take a closer look at the arena. This White Devil was a lady with elegant black hair and a long white robe. At this moment he was standing there calmly. She was holding a long-handled cane. The front of the cane was a bird cage. There weren't any birds in the bird cage, but there was an emerald green butterfly that was like a beautiful jade. The emerald green butterfly in the long-handled cane would emit green light from time to time, healing the two gold fays that were blocking in front of the lady. In the Celestial Stairway Duel Arena, two famous Star Web commentators were passionately explaining the duel and introducing the situation. At that moment, Lin Yuan's eyes were completely attracted by the four fays that had appeared on the battlefield. The four fays were all gold fays and two of them were healing-type fays that belonged to Lady White Devil. While they were resisting damage, they were also making appropriate counterattacks. These healing-type fays might have healing-type abilities, but once they reached gold, even healing-type fays would possess decent combat power. The other two offensive fays were the same species of irascible fays, lava bears. One of the lava bears had purplish-red fur, and when it slapped with its paws, it would emit purplish-red flames that were like paint. It could adhere to the surface of an object and burn like a ball of liquid flame, corroding and burning any object that came into contact with the flames. The other lava bear was slightly larger and its fur was a dazzling red. With every charge, the fur on its body would ignite with raging flames. As soon as the flames left his body, they would explode. The attacks of the two lava bears caused the two healing-type plant fays to suffer greatly. On the battlefield, Unknown Flame was wearing red leather armor and coordinating with the two lava bears to attack. She looked at the White Devil, who was gradually in a sorry state, and said, Daisy, this battle of attrition has been going on for 15 minutes. Daisy, this war of attrition has been going on for half a quarter of an hour. The spiritual energy in your body can't keep up, right? Unknown Flame didn't hesitate and made a gesture to the lava bears. The two lava bears immediately attacked one of the Fusang snow trees that was struggling. The strength of the two lava bears, in addition to the two types of extremely destructive flames, caused the Fusang snow tree, which was restrained by the flames, to suffer heavy damage. This caused a hole to appear in White Devil's defense. Beads of sweat seeped out of White Devil's forehead, but her mouth remained calm as she spoke. The difference between 18 and 47 isn't as simple as you think. After speaking, the White Devil pointed at the heavily injured Fusang snow tree and shouted, Use frozen snow. In an instant, the arena was covered with a thin layer of frost. Then he pointed at the ice soul grass that was struggling to defend. Extreme cold seal. The frost-covered battlefield instantly dissipated, and all the chill condensed into a pair of huge ice crystals. Within these two ice crystals were two lava bears that were still maintaining their battle postures. The two types of healing-type fays didn't have strong single-target attacks, but with the combination of abilities, they were able to seal the two power offense-type fays. Unknown Flame leaped backward and looked at the White Devil with a smirk. Your ice soul grass and Fusang snow tree are no longer able to fight, but my two lava bears will break out of the ice in a while. The outcome of this duel might not be determined like the rankings. Don't forget that I am a healer. The White Devil raised her staff, and the emerald green butterfly in the birdcage at the tip of the staff was flickering with green light. Revival Butterfly. Use the wings of revival. At that moment, the revival butterfly instantly concealed the green light around its body, and the entire patch of green was condensed into the wings on both sides. Subsequently, the two blurry butterfly wings were instantly transmitted into the bodies of the severely injured Fusang snow tree and ice soul grass. In an instant, the Fusang snow tree and ice soul grass were like new sprouts after a long drought, rapidly recovering their injuries. Although their injuries weren't fully recovered, they were already able to fight. Unknown Flame silently cursed and raised her hand. In an instant, a flame vortex appeared above Unknown Flame's head like a whirlwind, causing the surrounding air to become scorching hot. With a boom, a giant bear that was 7 meters tall smashed towards the Fusang snow tree and ice soulgrass that had just recovered. This sudden attack didn't allow the Fusang snow tree and ice soulgrass to dodge in time. If they were hit, the Fusang snow tree and ice soulgrass would probably be severely injured and unable to fight. The White Devil looked at the Unknown Flame and said, "I didn't expect your flowing flame giant bear to advance to the platinum level. However, the outcome of this duel is still undecided." The White Devil stabbed the staff in her hand into the ground and channeled all the spiritual power in her body into the revival swallowtail butterfly in the birdcage. Then she opened the door of the birdcage. The moment the revival swallowtail butterfly flew out of the birdcage, the jet black hair on the White Devil's head instantly turned snow white, and the emerald green revival swallowtail butterfly, which was originally filled with vitality, turned into a dark red color that was filled with a destructive aura. The dark red revival swallowtail butterfly flapped its wings, and its body was like a flower that had been scattered by the wind. It split into countless smaller dark red butterflies. These smaller dark red butterflies were like bullets that shot towards the flowing flame giant bear that was enveloped in flames. That powerful flaming tornado didn't obstruct the dark red revival swallowtail butterfly's speed at all. The dark red revival swallowtail butterfly plunged into the flowing flame giant bear's body and flew out without any obstruction. The blood that was produced was like a beautiful rose that had just bloomed. However, as soon as the rose bloomed, it was immediately evaporated by the flowing flame giant bear's flames. Beautiful butterflies fluttered in the air like a rain of flowers. 1 big and 2 small bear fays were lying on the ground, and it was a good declaration of the White Devil's victory. The Unknown Flame looked at the flowing flame giant bear on the ground for a long time and raised her head to give the White Devil a thumbs up. "I didn't expect your revival swallowtail butterfly to evolve into a fantasy breed at gold. I didn't lose this duel unjustly." The White Devil might be pale, but she still had a calm expression. When the revival swallowtail butterfly evolves into a fantasy breed, it is no longer called the revival swallowtail butterfly. It is called the calamity swallowtail butterfly. The cheers in the celestial stairway duel arena never stopped. But at this moment, when the White Devil held onto the Unknown Flame's shoulder and raised her hand into the air, the cheers in the duel arena became one and formed a shocking sound. The braced egg girl grabbed onto Lin Yuan's clothes and shouted excitedly, "Lady White Devil is too cool. Lady Unknown Flame might have lost, but she is indeed a woman who can control bears. He is also super cool." Lin Yuan didn't bother about the excited braced egg girl. At this moment, Lin Yuan's heart was also reverberating with an indescribable excitement. The hot blood in his heart was like a fountain, and Lin Yuan couldn't help but want to shout out. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard the commentator announce, "Lady White Devil, Daisy defeated Lady Unknown Flame Anna. 1 Celestial Stairway Glory Star will be added." "Daisy Anna?" Lin Yuan let out a soft sigh. "Daisy Sequence 18, White Devil. Anna Sequence 47, Unknown Flame." Lin Yuan finally knew the true names of Sequence 18, White Devil, and Sequence 47, Unknown Flame. Were these the pinnacle combat power of the Radiance Federation's younger generation? A gold fantasy breed and a platinum fae were existences that he could only look up to at the moment. However, in the near future, Lin Yuan also wanted to chase after this radiant light. Born at the end of a green duckweed, a bright color could also gather into a vast galaxy. Chapter 37. Lin Yuan left the star web and returned to the store. He was still thinking about the competition between the Radiance Federation's sequence members. That competition had let Lin Yuan know the standard of the Radiance Federation's younger generation. At the same time, Lin Yuan had a deep understanding of what a fantasy breed fae was. A gold/fantasy breed healing type fae had actually defeated a platinum combat type fae in an overwhelming manner. Lin Yuan had also comprehended a willpower rune, and it was still flying around his spiritual energy in his spiritual spatial zone. The flying willpower rune formed the pattern of mountains and rivers, as though it was evolving the rebirth of plants after the apocalypse. It emitted the feeling of the boundless vitality on the green mountain. This willpower rune was very suitable for healing-type fays, and the only healing-type fay that Lin Yuan possessed was the Jasmine Lily. I wonder what will happen if the Jasmine Lily reaches legend and fuses with this willpower rune to become a fantasy breed? Soon after returning to the store, the remaining pots of usnias had been evolved to elite grade. For a moment, apart from his contracted phase, Lin Yuan didn't have any other phase that he wanted to evolve. The book chip, 5 Elite X/Flawless Web Spraying Spiders, Spirit Siphon Goldfish Energy Ores, and Butterfly Shells that he had purchased on the Star Web had yet to arrive. When he saw that there wasn't even a single ingredient in the house, he simply carried Genius and Chimey out of the house. Genius was standing on Lin Yuan's shoulder, while Chimey was standing on Genius' head. It chirped and seemed to be in a great mood. Lin Yuan looked at Genius and Chimey with a faint smile and said, "Genius, Chimey, I will bring you out to shop." "Songming Inin, I'll bring you guys out to shop." Lin Yuan hadn't been able to earn much from maintaining the store previously. Even if he had earned some money, he would have saved it for Chu Si's future tuition fees. Apart from stocking up, he wouldn't even have the chance to bring Genius and Chimey out to shop once a year. Now that Lin Yuan had money, he naturally wouldn't be as thrifty as before. After this trip, apart from some fruits and vegetables, Lin Yuan used the remaining Federation dollars to purchase some daily necessities. Of course, Lin Yuan didn't need many daily necessities, as most of them were prepared for Genius and Chimey. Lin Yuan bought a few bags of energy biscuits that were rich in energy and suitable for elite omnivorous phase. He also bought some spiritual materials that could increase the toughness of Chimey's feathers. Not long after he returned home with a pile of daily necessities, someone knocked on the door of the store. Lin Yuan opened the door and saw a man wearing a work uniform with an ostrich printed on it. There were several Fey storage boxes on the ground. Ostrich Logistics Courier No. 75457 has delivered the goods you purchased on the Star Web as scheduled. Please sign for it. Lin Yuan hurriedly went forward to sign the receipt. Now all the items that he had purchased on the Star Web had arrived. Thank you. After confirming that there were no problems with the goods, the courier left after Lin Yuan signed his name. Lin Yuan couldn't help but sigh. Ostrich Logistics' efficiency was truly impressive. As long as one was in the Radiance Federation, Ostrich Logistics could deliver the goods within 3 hours. After signing the receipt, Lin Yuan carried the Fey storage boxes into the house and took out the Spirit Siphon Goldfish from the Fey storage boxes. The normal normal Spirit Siphon Goldfish that Lin Yuan had taken out from the Fey storage box looked very fragile. It felt as though Lin Yuan would be able to take this little fellow's life if he exerted a little force. The Spirit Siphon Goldfish struggled slightly in Lin Yuan's hand. The 2 protruding eyes on the front of the black goldfish's body made it look extremely ugly. Lin Yuan immediately used Morbius' exclusive skill, Spirit Lock, to turn the Dragon Eye Spirit Siphon Goldfish into an elite Morbius Spirit Lock Fey. Subsequently, Lin Yuan started to enhance the Spirit Siphon Goldfish. When Lin Yuan enhanced the Spirit Siphon Goldfish to elite, he took a look at the time. Evolving the Spirit Siphon Goldfish had wasted over an hour, and the increase in spiritual power in his body wasn't any different from evolving a pot of elite usnia. The difficulty of evolving the Spirit Siphon Goldfish was truly worthy of its reputation. It was no wonder that the Spirit Siphon Goldfish was the Fey that was most unwelcomed by creation masters. After evolving the Spirit Siphon Goldfish to elite, its size was obviously 2 times larger than before. The scales on its body weren't as mottled as before and had become as smooth as satin. It was as though its body was wrapped with a layer of black silk. The fish's tail was opened up like a half-opened umbrella. The 2 massive eyes at the front might not have enlarged, but there was a layer of faint golden scales around the eyes. When intertwined with the black, it wasn't obvious, but if one looked closely they would be able to see it. The dragon eye was considered a famous species among the Spirit Siphon Goldfish. If Lin Yuan were to sell this Spirit Siphon Goldfish on the Star Web, it would easily be sold for 8 Radiance dollars. After enhancing the Spirit Siphon Goldfish, Lin Yuan entered the Spirit Lock spatial zone and slowly poured the 1,000 caddies of inferior energy ores from the Fey storage box into the spirit pool. The inferior energy ores were immediately disintegrated in the spirit pool, turning into spirit qi that dispersed into the spirit lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan had been continuously pouring in the inferior energy ores. When he poured in around 1,700 caddies, the spirit pool stopped disintegrating the inferior energy ores. Lin Yuan knew that the spirit qi density in the spirit lock spatial zone had reached the saturation point of the spirit qi density. After comparing the spirit qi density, Lin Yuan realized that the spirit qi density in the spirit lock spatial zone was more than 5 times that of the outside world. Lin Yuan was very satisfied with this. The spirit lock spatial zone would constantly evolve after Morbius evolved, and the spirit qi density in the spirit lock spatial zone would also get denser. Lin Yuan didn't bother about the remaining 150 caddies of energy ores that were poured into the spirit pool. Be it the jasmine lily or the spirit siphon goldfish, they would rapidly consume the spirit qi in the spirit lock spatial zone. Once the spirit qi density in the spatial zone decreased, the spirit pool would naturally disintegrate the remaining energy ores to replenish it. Lin Yuan placed the spirit siphon goldfish into the spirit evolution pool, and the spirit siphon goldfish swam in the spirit pool with satisfaction. At that moment, Lin Yuan could feel the spirit qi in the spatial zone being slowly absorbed by the spirit siphon goldfish. Lin Yuan compared the speed at which he enhanced the spirit siphon goldfish with the speed at which the spirit siphon goldfish automatically absorbed pure spirit qi in the spirit lock spatial zone. In the spirit lock spatial zone, the spirit siphon goldfish would require around 10 days to evolve from normal grade to elite grade. Of course, the prerequisite was that there would be a continuous supply of energy ores during these 10 days. After calculating the spirit siphon goldfish's growth speed in the spirit lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan had already decided on the direction of his Star Web Phase store. He was going to make a name for himself by selling elite spirit siphon goldfish. If elite spirit siphon goldfish were to appear in large quantities in his purchase with no loss store, his store's reputation would probably soar very soon. Lin Yuan then scattered the butterfly shells at the bottom of the spirit pool. When the butterfly shells entered the water and landed on the lustrous white energy ores, they were like ginkgo leaves scattered on the gravel path in autumn. It was a unique scene. At that moment, the spirit siphon goldfish immediately picked up a butterfly shell and swallowed it, slowly absorbing the butterfly shell's energy. The butterfly shells were more or less beneficial to the spirit siphon goldfish's bloodline awakening. However, the effects weren't very significant. Lin Yuan was thinking that it would be great if he could obtain some dragon species Fey blood before the spirit siphon goldfish evolved to elite/epic. Chapter 38. A dragon species Fey's blood was considered a rather precious spiritual ingredient, so it was naturally very expensive. Most of the dragon species Feys were gold grade and above. Even if the spirit siphon goldfish reached bronze grade and awakened the thin dragon-type bloodline, it could not be called a dragon-type spirit beast before the bloodline concentration reached a certain standard. From this, one could see how rare the blood of a dragon-type spirit beast was. Precious spiritual ingredients like dragon species Fey's blood were sold by the drop. Lin Yuan did not know the price of dragon species Fey's, but fortunately he had added Zhou Xian as a friend on Star Web. At that time he could just ask Zhou Xian. Although he did not know the price of dragon species Fey blood, it must be very expensive. He now had to earn more money and earn the price of the dragon species Fey blood in advance. I'll set a small goal first. I'll earn 100 million Federation dollars, which is 100 Radiance dollars. The spirit qi concentration in the spirit lock spatial zone was 5 times that of the outside world. Lin Yuan circulated his spirit qi and realized that even though his spirit qi conversion speed didn't change, the efficiency of the dense spirit qi passing through his body had increased by nearly 5 times. This discovery made Lin Yuan abnormally pleasantly surprised. He quickly brought an Elite X/flawless web spraying spider from the Fey storage box into the spirit lock spatial zone. He quickly circulated his spiritual energy to strengthen the web spraying spider. When Lin Yuan was enhancing the web-spraying spider, he could clearly sense that there was a layer of boundary in its body. It seemed that this boundary could be broken with a few more strikes of spiritual energy. However, Lin Yuan didn't do so. If he directly broke through this boundary, the web-spraying spider would evolve from elite/flawless to bronze. This was not what Lin Yuan wanted. Lin Yuan didn't use spirit qi to break through this boundary. Instead, he constantly poured spirit qi into the web-spraying spider's body. It allowed the web-spraying spider's body to absorb as much spiritual qi as possible to strengthen the web-spraying spider's quality. After an unknown period of time, when the web-spraying spider reached the epic quality, Lin Yuan stopped the spirit qi conversion. Lin Yuan looked at the time and realized that it had taken him over 2 hours to evolve the elite Fey from flawless to epic. If it was outside and not in the spirit lock spatial zone, it would probably take more than 10 hours to enhance the web-spraying spider. Furthermore, this speed was after he had become a D-rank spirit qi professional. It was imaginable how much harder it was for Fays to increase their quality than to evolve. Moreover, this was only to upgrade the perfect quality to the epic quality. How much would it take to upgrade the epic quality to the legendary quality? At the same time, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that the spirit qi concentration in the spirit lock spatial zone was less than 5 times. When he looked inside the spirit pool, he realized that the 150 caddies of inferior energy ores at the bottom of the spirit pool had already disappeared. All the inferior energy ores had been used up when he was upgrading the web-spraying spider's quality. Lin Yuan did some calculations. If he were to use inferior energy ores to evolve an elite X/flawless web-spraying spider to the epic grade, he would need to use more than 700 caddies of inferior energy ores. According to the purchase price, it was $0.35 radiance dollars. There was a certain price to pay for enhancing phase in the spirit lock spatial zone. Although this price was almost negligible compared to the speed of improvement. However, his biggest problem now was that he did not have money on hand. He could not buy inferior energy ores, which made him very distressed. After bringing the epic web-spraying spider out of the spirit lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan didn't continue to enhance the remaining 4 web-spraying spiders. Instead, he was going to let Genius memorize the books for the Elementary Scholar, Fey Observer, and Spiritual Ingredient Analyst. The 100 Questions Beast required time to learn new knowledge, but it was very fast. Genius would need around 20 days to memorize over 300 books. By the time Lin Yuan went to Zhou Xian's store to pick up leftover Feis, Genius would have already memorized all the knowledge. After that, Lin Yuan was going to take the Creation Master's examination. Once he passed the Creation Master examination, it would be like a flood dragon returning to the sea or a peacock returning to the forest. No matter what path he took in the future, it would be an extremely broad path. Lin Yuan applied for a Star Web account for Genius and inserted the knowledge chip into Genius's Star Web account. Genius sat there obediently, staring at the knowledge and learning it carefully. Genius had always been passionate about learning. When Lin Yuan logged into the Star Web and entered his store, he suddenly noticed that the dozens of pots of elite usnias had all been ordered. Lin Yuan was rather surprised that there weren't any elite usnias left in such a short period of time. Furthermore, there were messages from people wishing to order more elite usnias. It seemed like spicy goods wouldn't have to worry about selling out at any time. Some phase might be great, but the market demand was low, and they wouldn't be able to be sold within a short period of time. Lin Yuan didn't reply to those messages. In the future, if he were to sell usnias, they would probably be bronze usnias. This was because Lin Yuan was preparing to break through from a D-rank spirit qi professional to a C-rank spirit qi professional. Only when he became a C-rank spirit qi professional would he be able to evolve bronze phase faster and better. Lin Yuan might be able to evolve bronze phase grade, but he was still lacking the ability to increase the quality of bronze phase. After becoming a C-rank spirit qi professional, Lin Yuan would be able to increase the quality of bronze phase to legend and transform them into fantasy breeds. As Lin Yuan didn't specify a price for the other 2 web-spraying spiders, those who were interested in purchasing them left a price with the AI robot. There were unexpectedly a lot of people bidding. The web-spraying spider that had awakened the exclusive skill Sticky Spider Web had 3 people bidding, and the highest bid was $1 radiance dollars. As for the other web-spraying spider that had awakened the Vicious Venom attribute, only 1 person made a bid, and it was $3 radiance dollars. This price wasn't considered high. If Lin Yuan was willing to wait a little longer, it wouldn't be a problem to sell the 2 bronze web-spraying spiders for $7 radiance dollars. However, Lin Yuan didn't choose to wait any longer. He immediately replied to the 2 highest bidders and sold the 2 bronze web-spraying spiders. He then used his store's name to contact Ostrich Logistics to deliver the goods. Newly opened stores on the Star Web could sign a contract with Ostrich Logistics, and Ostrich Logistics would help to deliver the goods. However, Ostrich Logistics would collect a commission based on the value of the goods. Ostrich Logistics' commission was rather high, but it was fast and safe enough. Even if there were any problems, they would pay the full amount. This was also why so many people were willing to choose Ostrich Logistics. Once the 2 web-spraying spiders and the elite usnias were sold, Lin Yuan's financial crisis was immediately resolved. Chimey was chirping and singing, but after singing for a while it felt rather bored. When Chimey saw Lin Yuan and Genius busy going on the Star Web, its small eyes flickered and jumped onto Genius' head. It chirped and said something to Genius. Genius, Genius. Smart, smart. Do you think my singing is good? It is. Furthermore, it is getting better and better. Genius couldn't understand why Chimey would ask such a question, as it was usually very shy. Genius, help me secretly apply for a Star Web account. I want to start a live broadcast. While speaking, it chirped twice and looked at the azure blue feathers on its body before speaking with confidence. I want to be a voice actress in the attractive section. My name shall be Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess. But you are a bird. When looking at Genius' silly expression, Chimey felt that it was smarter. You can help me block a GIF. Chapter 39. Chimey would usually sing at home when it had nothing to do, and Lin Yuan was already used to it. Chimey's singing was like a daily routine at home to Lin Yuan. Therefore, Lin Yuan didn't pay attention to Chimey, which was seriously singing. After Genius evolved to elite grade, it was no different from humans in all aspects. In fact, its memory was many times better than humans. Due to Genius's operation, Chimey had successfully become a voice actress in the attractive section. At that moment, a cute gif of a loli was blocking half the screen. Chimey was singing behind the gif. No one would pay attention to insignificant live streamers in the beginning. Occasionally, 1 or 2 people would pass by the live streaming room and quickly leave. However, Chimey's singing was like the phoenix's cry in Mount Kuan and the bamboo forest's rustling bamboo leaves. It had an ancient charm and was more mellow than the dew dripping from the fragrant orchid. This made Chimey's live streaming room a silk web hole that could only be entered and not exited. Those who came in shouldn't even think about leaving. Wow, there's actually such a beautiful voice in this world. A celestial singing. Big sister, why are you still using a GIF to block your face? Don't attractive section streamers show their faces? Could this song be Big Sister's original work? I actually couldn't find the same lyrics on Star Web. The people who entered in groups of 2s and 3s couldn't help but praise Chimey like a storm on the bullet screen. There was even someone who directly tipped Chimey with 500 Federation dollars. After sending bullet screen comments for a long time, they realized that the streamer didn't reply. Instead, they felt that the streamer had a personality and temperament, so they turned into bootlickers and continued to praise. The main reason for such a situation was that Chimey's singing was too good. Chimey didn't show it on the surface, but it was extremely anxious. Chimey wanted to send a message for them to praise it more, but it didn't know how to reply to messages. Genius was also carefully learning the knowledge that Lin Yuan had arranged. Chimey could only pretend that it didn't see the bullet screen and continued to sing. After singing for a while, Chimey got tired and casually turned off the live streaming. However, Chimey didn't know that its singing had been recorded by one of the audience members and posted on Star Web. The Sparrow Voice Lowly Goddess's reputation spread like wildfire, just like the sparks on the prairie in autumn. After a short while, someone knocked on the door again. When Lin Yuan went to open the door, he saw a girl who was close to 1.7 meters tall. She was wearing Ostrich Logistics uniform and had short, dark red hair. It was obviously a very cool hairstyle, but the girl's face looked very shy. Hello, are you the owner of Purchase with No Loss, Mr. Deep Mountain Elder Lin? As she spoke, the girl secretly clenched her fists. She was obviously nervous and her tone was soft. When Lin Yuan saw the girl's Ostrich Logistics uniform, he knew that she was here to pick up the goods. That's right, I am. You must be here to pick up the goods. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's admission, the dark red-haired girl heaved a sigh of relief and smiled shyly. I'm newbie courier number 3451. My name is Aneng. According to the contract you submitted, I'll be the exclusive courier for purchase with no loss store. When Lin Yuan saw Ning placing her fist on her chest to encourage herself before speaking, he couldn't help but feel that it was very cute. Then I'll have to trouble you in the future, Miss Ning. In that case, Mr. Deep Mountain Elder Lin agrees to let me be the exclusive courier for purchase with no loss store and won't replace me, right? While speaking, Ning seemed very pleasantly surprised and smiled, revealing her 2 canine teeth. It was as though she had encountered something very joyous. Lin Yuan then recalled that Ostrich Logistics' contract mentioned that he could take the initiative to apply for the replacement of the exclusive courier service. Upon seeing Ning's expression, Lin Yuan could imagine that this Ning had probably been replaced more than once or twice. After Lin Yuan nodded in confirmation, Ning immediately exclaimed, "Yeah." She then circulated her spiritual energy to summon her 2 contracted phase. Lin Yuan didn't expect this young girl to actually have a gold and silver phase. "I'm very powerful. Super fierce. Therefore there won't be any problems when the goods are handed over to me. If there are any accidents, my bullet rain will extinguish their pain." Ning was afraid that Lin Yuan wouldn't be at ease, so she tried her best to show him her strength to prove herself. When Lin Yuan saw the 2 phase, he knew that this girl should be a spirit chi professional with potential that Ostrich Logistics had nurtured. However, he didn't know why she had become his exclusive courier. Gold armor-piercing insect. Silver shotgun insect. When these 2 phase launched their attacks, it was like a dense hail of bullets with extreme lethality. It seemed like Ning wasn't as shy as she looked on the surface. Deep down, she was a person who advocated the aesthetics of violence. Ning happily helped Lin Yuan pack up the goods to be distributed and said to him, "This might be my first mission, but I can guarantee that the goods will be delivered within 2 hours. Although this is my first mission, I can guarantee that the goods will be delivered within 2 hours. There's no need for the 3 hours stated in the contract." After saying that, he left happily. However, just as Ning left, Lin Yuan saw a few pieces of paper on the ground. He picked them up and quickly chased after them. After calling Ning back, he handed over the delivery list that had been dropped on the ground. Ning was originally happy, but when she saw the delivery list that Lin Yuan handed over, her face immediately flushed red. After receiving the delivery list, she immediately ran away like a little rabbit. Lin Yuan couldn't help but ridicule in his heart. Newbies are indeed not as reliable as they look. After returning home, Lin Yuan realized that he had really received 3.9 radiance dollars in just 2 hours. This was the money that Lin Yuan had earned from selling the elite usnias and the 2 web-spraying spiders. With the 3.9 radiance dollars, Lin Yuan immediately felt as though he had come back to life. He immediately logged onto the star web and contacted Zhou Xian. "Deep Mountain Elder Lin, Big Sister Exen, I wish to buy another 4,000 gold of inferior energy ores. And 3 butterfly-tailed spirit siphon goldfish of any color." Lin Yuan realized that in less than a few minutes he had almost spent all the money in his hands. He was only left with 0.4 radiance dollars. In the past, if Lin Yuan had spent Federation dollars on his own, he would be able to use 1,000 Federation dollars for 3 months and still have leftover. However, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that the radiance dollars were unexpectedly not resistant to spending. Lin Yuan didn't know if he had become arrogant or powerful to actually have such thoughts. Chapter 40. Zhou Xian quickly saw the order and replied to Lin Yuan's message. However, in his heart he really could not understand why this customer of his wanted so many inferior energy ores. "Deep Mountain Elder Lin, thank you Big Sister Exen. Does Big Sister Exen have any dragon blood?" Zhou Xian looked at Lin Yuan's message and pondered for a long time before replying. "Zhou Xian, I still have some dragon blood in stock. How much do you need?" Lin Yuan had searched on the star web but couldn't find any stores that sold dragon blood. He couldn't help but feel that he couldn't even buy spiritual ingredients with money. He had to find some other channels. "Deep Mountain Elder Lin, Big Sister Exen, what is the price of dragon blood now?" Zhou Xian, gold dragon blood costs 80 radiance dollars per drop, and platinum dragon blood costs 2,000 radiance dollars per drop. Zhou Xian had already decided to befriend Lin Yuan. On one hand, it was because she had a good impression of Lin Yuan during the day, but more importantly, Zhou Xian was interested in Lin Yuan's purchasing power. On the first day, Lin Yuan had spent 5 radiance dollars in just a few hours. Such a customer was definitely worth roping in. Lin Yuan had already overestimated the dragon blood's price, but he didn't expect it to be so expensive. A platinum dragon blood cost 2,000 radiance dollars per drop, and Lin Yuan didn't dare to imagine how much a platinum dragon blood would cost. When the spirit siphon goldfish evolved to bronze grade, it would stimulate the thin dragon blood in its body. A gold dragon blood would be enough. If he was lucky, 1 drop of dragon blood would be enough, but a conservative estimate would require 3 drops. When it came to his phase evolution, Lin Yuan liked to be fully prepared. When Zhou Xian saw that Lin Yuan didn't reply for a long time, she immediately sent another message. Zhou Xian, the price I gave you might be a little higher than the lowest price in the market, but I can ensure that the dragon blood's concentration isn't diluted. When Lin Yuan saw Zhou Xian's message, his impression of Zhou Xian couldn't help but improve. The scariest thing when purchasing spiritual ingredients was not being able to guarantee the quality of the spiritual ingredient. If the spiritual ingredient's quality wasn't up to standard, the creation master might cause the phase evolution to fail or become incomplete. If the evolution failed, the Fae could always try again. However, if the evolution was incomplete, it would undoubtedly weaken certain aspects of the evolved Fae. Evolution was the most creative ability given to living creatures by natural selection, so evolution was always irreversible. From this, one could see how important the quality of the spirit materials was. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, Big Sister Exen, I might order a batch of normal grade spirit siphon goldfish from your store in a few days. They all look like butterfly tail goldfish. As for the dragon blood, we will trade when I go to your store on the 27th. Zhou Xian, don't worry, I will pick butterfly tails for normal spirit siphon goldfish for you. I guarantee that they will all look good. After hearing that Lin Yuan was going to order so many goods, Zhou Xian was very happy. In his heart he felt that it was indeed the right decision to rope in Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan also knew the price of the dragon beast blood, so he secretly estimated it in his heart. A gold-grade dragon's blood cost 80 radiance dollars, and Lin Yuan needed 3 drops for himself. In other words, he had to prepare at least 240 radiance dollars. 240 radiance dollars was not a small sum to him, but it was not a sky-high price that he could not earn. Therefore Lin Yuan made a plan in his heart to earn more money. After Lin Yuan received the goods from Big Sister Exen, he entered the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone and prepared to enhance the remaining 4 Elite X/Flawless Web Spraying Spiders. Lin Yuan placed the 3 normal Spirit Siphon Goldfish into the Spirit Pool in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone. The reason why Lin Yuan had chosen the Butterfly Tail Spirit Siphon Goldfish was that it sold the best among the Elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish. The tea-colored Butterfly Tail Spirit Siphon Goldfish swam freely in the Spirit Pool and appeared to be very happy. It was obvious that the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone had a high concentration of spirit chi, and it was undoubtedly the best living environment for these normal Spirit Siphon Goldfish. These 3 Spirit Siphon Goldfish were just like deep amber camellias that were blooming in the Spirit Pool. In addition, there were the Elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish that Lin Yuan had spirit locked earlier. These 4 Spirit Siphon Goldfish. They complemented the Spirit Pool with a unique antique feeling. The 3 normal Spirit Siphon Goldfish and 1 Elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish were in the Spirit Pool and were still fine at the start. However, when the 3 normal tea-colored Butterfly Tail Goldfish wanted to eat the butterfly shells, the Elite Dragon-Eyed Spirit Siphon Goldfish immediately launched an attack on them. The Dragon-Eyed Goldfish's tail swung in the water and whipped at the 3 normal Butterfly Tail Goldfish. The strength of the tail whip wasn't great and it wouldn't feel anything when it hit a person. However, when it hit the 3 butterfly tail goldfish that were obviously half the size, it immediately sent the 3 butterfly tail goldfish tumbling in the Spirit Pool. They only stopped after rolling 3 times. After a few attacks, even if the 3 normal butterfly tail goldfish could clearly feel that the butterfly shells could bring them benefits, they still didn't dare to take a bite. Lin Yuan laughed involuntarily. It was all thanks to the Elite Dragon-Eyed Goldfish that these butterfly shells could be protected. Otherwise, he would have to think of a way to separate the 3 tea-colored butterfly tails in the Spirit Pool. The 3 tea-colored butterfly tails would be able to evolve to elite grade in 5 days in the spirit pool. This was because Lin Yuan planned to sell them on his Star Web store for 8 radiance dollars when they evolved to elite grade. Therefore, it would be a waste to let the 3 butterfly tails eat the butterfly shells. However, what surprised Lin Yuan was that the 4 spirit siphon goldfish had been living in the same pool in Big Sister Xian's store. However, when the dragon-eyed goldfish evolved to elite grade, it actually started to attack its previous companions for resources. This made Lin Yuan think of not only natural selection and survival of the fittest. It also made Lin Yuan understand why the strong would get stronger and the weak would have a hard time rising up. The elite dragon-eyed spirit siphon goldfish swam freely in the spirit pool. The 3 tea butterflies gathered together and hid in a corner, not daring to swim toward the center of the spirit pool. Lin Yuan could faintly feel that there was still a subtle spirit qi constantly pouring into the spirit lock spatial zone after there were no energy ores in the spirit pool. This was the advantage of rearing the spirit siphon goldfish in the spirit lock spatial zone. However, the speed of the spirit qi being released was truly insufficient compared to Lin Yuan's consumption speed. In the following period of time, Lin Yuan constantly poured the 2,000 kilograms of inferior energy ores into the spirit pool. During these 2 days, Lin Yuan finally evolved the 5 elite/flawless web-spraying spiders into the epic grade. Lin Yuan heaved a sigh of relief, stood up, stretched, and said, "That's right." Chapter 41. Lin Yuan first entered his Star Web store. As a result, he noticed that there were actually 2 individuals in an intense argument beside the AI robot. Lin Yuan was a little confused. It seemed like everything in his store had been sold out. What exactly were these 2 individuals doing in his store? What was there to argue about? At that moment, Lin Yuan heard a rather peculiar voice. "A woman is originally weak, but a mother is tough. I am very noble, and you think you are fit to speak to me like that?" The person who was speaking had his hands on his waist and was standing there with an infuriated expression. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard an abnormally calm voice. "I made a wish to Buddha, and Buddha said that you can forget about snatching from me no matter what." Before the voice finished speaking, the person who was panting with anger continued speaking. "Why didn't Buddha say that he scattered your ashes? Since we came together, you said that you were in a hurry, so I let you order first. You actually ordered all the elite usnias for me. Shameless." Buddha said, "Don't talk about Buddha like that. Do you think you are Kalma? I helped you and you helped me. If you don't help me, I will help you. I helped you and you are scolding me. See if I will stab you." Buddha said that I didn't scold you. "When did I? Stop being so stubborn. If you aren't convinced, add me as a friend on StarWeb. Let's meet in real life and see if I will stab you." Buddha said. Lin Yuan was simply amazed. This violent-tempered person was actually able to argue with this person who was even more Buddhist than Buddha. From the looks of it, this violent-tempered person was going to be angered to death. Seeing that this violent-tempered person was about to make a move, Lin Yuan quickly went forward to stop her. "Why are the 2 of you arguing in my store? My store is out of stock now. You are welcome to come again when I have more stock." After speaking, Lin Yuan conjured the 5 epic web-spraying spiders in the Star Web store. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard 2 gasps. It was no wonder that the duo was shocked to see 5 elite/epic web-spraying spiders. Elite/epic phase represented a kind of foundation, and for 5 of them to appear together meant that there was a creation master backing this small store. There were plenty of stores on Star Web, but there weren't many that had a creation master backing them. Only large stores were qualified to support creation masters. However, he didn't expect for this unknown Class 1 store to actually have the support of a creation master. When Lin Yuan heard the duo mentioning his web-spraying spiders, he reminded them. "These are custom-made fays and aren't for sale." When the duo heard that it was a custom-made fay, they looked at Lin Yuan with even more respect. This was because only Class 2 creation masters were capable of enhancing elite phase quality to epic. Class 1 creation masters could do it too if they were to consume. It was still possible for Class 1 creation masters to increase their ranks, but it was very slow to increase their quality. Therefore, only Class 2 creation masters would be able to order 5 creation masters at once and upgrade their quality to epic. There weren't many Class 1 creation masters to begin with. On average, only 1 out of every 30 Class 1 creation masters would be able to advance to Class 2, and it was even rarer. There weren't many Class 1 creation masters to begin with, and only 1 in 30 Class 1 creation masters could become a Class 2 creation master. It was extremely rare. With a Class 2 creation master overseeing the store, it was necessary to curry favor with such a store. Upon hearing their questions, Lin Yuan knew that they had not seen the customization details he had written on the AI robot's information board. When Lin Yuan heard the duo's question, he knew that they hadn't seen the details of the custom-made phase that he had written on the AI robot's information board. When the two of them heard this, they immediately felt that it was unbelievable. He was then ecstatic as he didn't need spiritual ingredients and only needed radiance dollars. Since when did the requirement for a creation master to custom make a Fae become so low? I wonder if I can custom make Faes now? Lin Yuan shook his head. Previously, he had signed a custom-made contract with the braised egghead until the exclusive skill transparent spider web appeared. However, he was only custom making 5 of them. If these 5 exclusive skills didn't appear after 15 chances, the braised egghead would have to continue custom making elite/epic web spraying spiders. In addition, Lin Yuan was planning to upgrade his phase grade and quality before he went to pick up scraps on the 27th. He wanted to evolve Genius, Chimey, and Morbius Spirit-Locked Jasmine Lily and Spirit Siphon Goldfish to Elite/Epic. Therefore, during this period of time, Lin Yuan didn't plan to accept any more custom-made phase. As for the money to purchase the gold-grade dragon blood, he would be able to nurture the elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone's Spirit Pool for the next 20 days. He would be able to nurture a total of 4 waves of goldfish, and he would be able to sell these elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish for a sufficient price. I will accept the custom-made orders next month. After hearing Lin Yuan's reply, the duo nodded with a delighted expression. They then recalled their objective and quickly said to Lin Yuan, I wonder if you still have any elite usnias? They seemed to have a natural tacit understanding and would always speak in unison. They didn't expect the other party to dare to mention the elite usnias. They were instantly infuriated and were about to quarrel again. They didn't expect the other party to dare to mention the elite usnias. They were instantly infuriated and were about to quarrel again. Lin Yuan had a headache and quickly stopped them. If I continue to sell, I won't be selling any elite usnias. The duo immediately had a disappointed expression, but they didn't expect Lin Yuan to suddenly change the topic. Although I won't be selling elite usnias, my store will be selling bronze usnias and elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish in the future. You're welcome to pre-order them. Lin Yuan's objective was to earn radiance dollars as quickly as possible. If he wanted to increase his strength, the consumption of radiance dollars would be like a river flowing into the sea. Therefore, Lin Yuan didn't mind advertising his store. The duo's clothes were real clothes in the outside world, and they were spiritual clothes made by lifestyle class Spirit Chi Occupations weavers. Thus, it was obvious that the duo's spending ability had reached a certain standard. After hearing Lin Yuan's words, the duo's jaws nearly dropped to the ground, and they began to doubt their lives. Bronze usnias? Elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish? These were items that were rarely available on the Star Web. One might be able to occasionally find a few elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish on the Star Web. However, no one would be foolish enough to sell bronze usnias in the store. The bronze usnias produced bronze usnias, on the other hand, could be purchased in most high-grade stores on the Star Web. 5,000 vines were priced at 1 radiance dollar. 5,000 bronze usnias were only produced for 1.5 years. Therefore, the bronze usnias were equivalent to a hen that would automatically produce radiance dollars. If one were to purchase a bronze usnia, it would be the same as buying a house. Selling the usnia vines would be the same as collecting rent. The bronze usnias were still there, and the usnia vines produced every day would be pure income. I wonder what the prices of the bronze usnias and elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish are? Lin Yuan had already determined the price in his heart. The bronze usnias are sold for 5 radiance dollars. The elite Spirit Siphon Goldfish are all butterfly tails, and each is sold for 8 radiance dollars. After speaking, Lin Yuan added another sentence. Chapter 42. When Lin Yuan said this, he wanted to set a rule for his store. It wasn't because of the old saying, nothing can be accomplished without rules. Lin Yuan simply didn't wish to deal with these senseless disputes. If someone were to make a move in his store, it wouldn't be beneficial to the store's reputation or development. The violent-tempered woman and the Buddha-tempered woman indicated that they would be keeping an eye on Lin Yuan's store for the next 2 days. The Buddha-tempered woman left, but the violent-tempered woman stayed behind. She stood in place and didn't want to leave. Lin Yuan took a glance and knew that the violent-tempered woman had something to say, but she didn't know how to say it. Lin Yuan simply took the initiative to ask. You can speak to me directly. However, my store doesn't have any goods to sell now. After hesitating for a long time, the violent-tempered woman asked with some hope. May I ask if your store is able to heal Fays with severely injured roots? Lin Yuan thought it was something serious. He was naturally able to heal severely injured Fays. However, as he was only a D-rank spirit chi professional, the Fays that he could heal couldn't be higher than silver. If it was higher than silver, Lin Yuan's healing time would be several times longer and would be extremely slow. Right now, Lin Yuan was only confident that he could heal bronze Fays quickly. I can heal severely injured Fays, but my store can only heal Fays below silver. I don't accept Fays above silver for now. As soon as Lin Yuan said that, the violent-tempered woman suddenly started crying. My daughter's Fei can finally be saved. Can finally be saved. When Lin Yuan saw the violent-tempered woman's tears falling, he couldn't help but recall the words she had said when he had just arrived at the store. A woman is weak, but a mother is strong. However, no matter how strong a mother was, her heart would always be weak when facing her children. After crying for a moment, the violent-tempered woman continued, It is a bronze Fei. It's a bronze Fei. My daughter's bronze Fei's roots were burned off by a horned demon's flames when she went to the dimensional rift to train. Upon hearing the words horned demon, Lin Yuan's heart sank. The horned demon was a monster unique to the demon world's dimensional rift. Its body was like a raging bull and it was very strong. When attacking, the giant horn on its head would smash towards the target. When it collided with the target, the horn would automatically ignite into flames and activate flame charge. The damage was quite high. No matter how high the damage of a normal flame was, it wouldn't damage the Fei's roots. However, the horned demon's flames had the withering characteristic. Wither was unexpectedly lethal to plant-type Feis, and only plant-type Feis would suffer damage from the roots after being ambushed by the horned demon's flames. Then make an appointment in advance. Bring your daughter and her Fei to the store in October. I will diagnose and arrange the treatment. After Lin Yuan agreed, the hot-tempered woman was finally relieved and kept thanking him. Boss, how do we calculate the payment for the treatment? I'm afraid I don't have enough money now, but don't worry, I'll definitely get the money before next month. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and gave a price. I don't want radiance dollars. I just want you to help me find a pack of revival soil. Healing a bronze Fei's damaged roots was within the capabilities of a Class 2 creation master. To a creation master, evolving a Fei and improving its quality was the best way to earn money. As for healing a damaged Fei's roots, it required meticulous nourishment with spiritual ingredients, which was a waste of time and experience. It might not even be 100% effective. Without any special connections, it was very difficult to invite a top-notch creation master to heal a Fei's damaged roots. Once a Fei was contracted, it couldn't be changed. When a Fei's roots were damaged, it was the same as the spirit chi professional's potential. Therefore, creation masters didn't just create light for their evolution, but also hope for salvation. Lin Yuan was planning to use revival soil to nurture the jasmine lily to reach legend when it was at bronze grade. Such materials weren't easy to find and Lin Yuan needed to make a plan. When the hot-tempered woman heard Lin Yuan's words, she immediately thanked Lin Yuan with all her might. Lin Yuan's price of 1 pack of revival soil was already the most conscientious price. If she used this price to look for other Class 2 creation masters, she probably wouldn't even be able to enter the door. Lin Yuan gave this price because it was very easy for him to heal a Fei's damaged roots. It was even easier than upgrading a Fei's quality. A spiritual ingredient like the revival soil was just like the bronze usnias. It was extremely difficult to find among the bronze Feis. Lin Yuan had previously asked Zhou Xian, and she didn't have any revival soil. Therefore Lin Yuan wanted to see if the hot-tempered woman could get it. It would be best if she could. If she couldn't, Lin Yuan would convert the price into radiance dollars and wouldn't leave her in the lurch. The hot-tempered woman gritted her teeth and promised to get a pack of revival soil. She even thanked Lin Yuan repeatedly, which made him feel rather embarrassed. At the same time, Lin Yuan was thinking that he might be able to add the healing of phase with damaged roots into his private custom-made items. This would definitely allow him to obtain many rare materials that couldn't be bought with radiance dollars. With that thought in mind, Lin Yuan sighed again. He didn't just lack radiance dollars, but he also lacked all sorts of rare materials. If the jasmine lily wanted to reach legend, it would require 1 pack of revival soil, 2 mahogany tree cores, and 1 liter of grasswood fountain water. He had already obtained the revival soil. The grasswood fountain water could be bought with a large sum of radiance dollars. However, Lin Yuan still couldn't think of any way to obtain the 2 mahogany tree cores. 2 mahogany tree cores were treasures that were qualified to be auctioned in the rare lifeform pavilion. It seemed like his money-making plan was still far from being completed. When the hot-tempered woman walked out of Lin Yuan's store, she noticed that the short fatty with the Buddha-tempered woman was standing at the entrance. The hot-tempered woman wiped the tears off her face. The Buddha-tempered woman had obviously heard the conversation in the store and wanted to go over to console the hot-tempered woman. Buddha says. When the hot-tempered woman heard the words Buddha says, she glared and yelled, Buddha says that everything has its consequences. Buddha says that every cause has its consequences. Your retribution is me. Lin Yuan finally had some peace and sent a message to the braised egghead on the star web. Deep Mountain Elder Lin. 5 epic web-spraying spiders are in the store. Come over and take a look. Stream in the cloud. What? Uncle, you obtained 5 elite/epic web-spraying spiders so quickly? Are you lying to me? Deep Mountain Elder Lin, you are so smart. Who would dare to lie to you? Come quickly so that I can deliver the goods for you. Lin Yuan, you are in urgent need of 10 radiance dollars for these 5 elite/epic web-spraying spiders. Only with this money would Lin Yuan have the capital to nurture the elite spirit siphon goldfish. Otherwise, Lin Yuan wouldn't even be able to afford a normal spirit siphon goldfish with his remaining money, let alone nurture them. Stream in the cloud. Got it, uncle. I will be there soon. The braised egghead quickly arrived at Lin Yuan's store and clicked her tongue in wonder when she saw the 5 epic web-spraying spiders. I didn't expect Uncle's speed to be so fast. I'm a lucky star. These 5 web-spraying spiders will definitely produce a transparent spider web. Hurry up and deliver the goods for me. Lin Yuan was the one who was anxious previously, but he didn't expect the braised egghead to be even more anxious than him after seeing the web-spraying spiders. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.